eager version.
Okay.
And we are here. We are live. They're talking about hired guns at the present moment in time. But your mics are on now. So hello and welcome to this week's RPG session when we will be playing the rule set called Mythras, which used to be RuneQuest 6 before the company took the name back. And so the rules had to change from RuneQuest 6 to Mythras. So that design mechanism, I think it is, actually could keep the game. So yeah, so Mythras is a D100 percentile dice system, a little bit more involved and complicated than Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition, but probably, yeah, it's a good system, and it's quite lethal and dangerous. There's no classes, no levels, just skill-based rolls. And the party have been adventuring in a homebrew world called Odes, which is a huge continent. And they originally were at a town called Lindowe, or a city called Lindowe. Then they've been journeying all the way around the continent. And they're at a very interesting moment when we left it, about 2 months ago, I think it is, since we last played. So without further ado, we're going to I'm going to let the players introduce themselves and their characters, but also say what their characters' sort of like aims, etc., are at this point in the game. So not ages ago, but sort of like up to date and sort of like present. So it'll give you an idea about what's actually happening now. Guys, your order is completely different now on the thing, because we're actually using the D&D setup that we had, which means that the screen's bigger, the map's bigger, the dice roll's bigger, and you're a lot smaller. I've sort of like squashed you down into a smaller gap. But it does mean that right next to me, just there, is no longer Chuggerwugger. Chuggerwugger's right way over on the far side now. So the first person up. Yes, you have. You're next to the glass now. It's like being pushed.
Does that mean things hit me on the head if they miss the glass?
No. The glass has its own little compartment next to you. That's where it is. Yeah, you can have a look now. But anyway, so to start us off, will not be Chuggerwugger. It'll be the person who's there right next to me, which is Longshanks EPG. So off you go.
No pressure. Hi guys, I'm Longshanks EPG. Tonight we are finally back in the world of Mythras and Odes. I'm playing the amazing character Hengist. He's a noble warrior in more than one sense of the word. He's nobly born, and he tries to be noble in action. He fights in heavy armor, normally sword and shield combo, but his shield was destroyed a very long time ago. Hasn't managed to pick a new one up because he's got no money because of various events, being adventurer napped. I don't want to say kidnapped, adventurer napped, being in prison, escaping, almost dying, coming back to life again. And his aims at the moment is to save the girl, save the world.
Yeah, and you can pass it on to the person next to you is Mr. Pickles.
Okay, I'll pass it on to Pickles then.
Oh, well then, I'll just take that microphone from you. I'm Mr. Pickles. I play Bartleby Fumus, who is our group's theist, our connection to the divine. Bartleby used to be a musician or a bard of sorts until he was accosted by bandits and had his hands mangled, and he's getting back into music. That's more or less who Bartleby was. After he got his hands mangled, he became a priest of the Order of Amriel, who is one of the moon goddesses, or, well, the other one's a god, so it's goddess and god. The moon goddess that covers light, healing, protection, and very abstract riddles. That's what I'm going to add to that, because she's always giving me visions. Bartleby's current aims are tied to the two items that he has in his inventory that he doesn't quite understand. He has a bracelet that will not come off and a mask that he has not put on. So his aim is to determine when he should be putting this death mask on and why. He's going to try and achieve that through prayer. Now I'm going to pass on the microphone to
Medivac.
Medivac?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes,
right.
thank you. There we go. Hi all. Yes, I'm Medivac and I play Hasra Khan. He is a scout, a tracker, a nomad from the steppes. He's no longer with his tribe because he lost them. And he joined the party while running an errand for a count to pass a message to them. And he thought he would tag along because it seemed like a very worthy quest they were on. And while he's been with them, he's found, rather than being alone and being very solitary, he's now coming into his own by, when they're out in the wilderness, he will become a leader and he will give them advice and show them where to go and what to do. And with that, he's now decided that he's discovered there's more things in the world than what he actually thought. He's seen miracles by gods, and he's seen lizard goblins and flying goblins bite off people's heads, and spirits materialize and dematerialize, and he wants to learn more about these things and how to combat them, because he's uncertain in the world. He's very afraid, in a sense. He doesn't like being afraid. He wants to find out what to do, and with that he wants to find out more about Amriel and more about the strange symbols that people look at when they open those pulped pages of books and things, or whatever they call them. So yeah, that's his goals in life. So with that, I shall pass the microphone on to Chugga Wugga.
Hi guys, I'm Chugga. I play Gulliver, who holds the rank of apprentice in one of the 4 sorcerer orders on Odes. Gulliver's particular order is that of the Kraken, which specialises in spells focused around communication, teleportation and transportation. Gulliver grew up in a land far from Odes. He was born an orphan, would later become a street performer in a small-time fence, before his life was turned round and he became houseboy and apprentice to an aging scholar who Gulliver fondly refers to as Master Healy. It was Master Healy who originally taught Gulliver the fundamentals of sorcery, which Healy himself learned from an old book which he had acquired at some point in his life. The book, which was more like a travelling journal, was written by a sorcerer known as Fladnag. And in the last pages of that, Fladnag wrote about his plans to travel to a new land to further his studies. That land was Odes, and that's where we currently find Gulliver. Nearly a year's passed since he travelled here. It's a bit different on Odes than it was from where Gulliver originally came from. It's a lot more strict on who can practice magic, and anybody who wasn't part of an order was considered a renegade, basically, and dealt with accordingly. Membership into the orders was strict, and Gulliver had to greatly improve his skills in literacy, which Master Healy had only taught him a small amount of, and also his spell casting before he was even considered for membership. And even then, his choice of order was extremely limited. He eventually chose the Blue Order, that of the Kraken. Up to now, Gulliver has sought to increase his spell repertoire, which he hopes will provide him with some more choices as he adventures. Unfortunately, spells are expensive, and even to those in the orders. And on top of that, Gulliver seems to spend a lot of time away from Lindowe. So, yeah, his studies are pretty limited, and his repertoire still leaves a lot to be desired. He currently has 3 aims, which he hopes to fulfill, and in no particular order. The first one is he would like to see that certain entities do not gain control of the seeds and destroy Odes and everybody on it. Exactly how he's going to do this, he's not quite sure. He knows the answer lies something with the oasis of sanctuary and a seed that can control the other seeds. So he plans to try to find that and prevent evil gaining control. Secondly, he needs to sort out a problem with the orders. It would seem that someone has taken a pot shot at Gwyneth the Wise, current leader of the Order of the Councils and also head of the Dragon Order. They're the white ones. Gulliver was nowhere near when all this happened, so he's basically off the hook. Nobody knows, nobody thinks that it's him, and he's been considered the best person to actually find who was responsible for it. To do that, he really wants to try to get back to Lindowe as quick as possible, hopefully start at where the assassination attempt was made. Finally, and lastly, he would like to fulfill his promise to Master Healy and return to him, where he can hopefully start to teach Master Healy some of the arts of sorcery. In Gulliver's eyes, the best way to achieve this was to gain ranks in the order and learn as much about sorcery as he can. Eventually, he even hopes to open a portal directly back to Master Healy's parlour and give his old mentor the fright of his life. And I shall pass on to Inwills.
Okay, thank you very much. So yeah, the various bits that I'll just sort of like slip into people's backstories now to sort of like bring the campaign together. So basically, the adventurers have been searching after certain seeds. There seems to be 4 of these seeds around, 2 of which were in the hands of the party, but they're now down to 1, the fungal seed, I think, which is currently carried by Gulliver. They searched out a group of people called the Knights of the Templar, who actually told them, or they discovered by themselves, that there was a more powerful purse ring in existence that was being held by someone or something called Cassini. In order to get to this place, the party needed 3 items. They needed a death mask, an amulet, and a torque. The party have been adventuring for some time now and have already retrieved the amulet, which is firmly attached around Bartleby's wrist and slowly sucking out his life. And they found the funeral mask when they stumbled across Hasrat's treasure, a rogue barbarian that raided lands ages ago in the part of Odes called Advent. The third item that they're looking for is a golden torque. While they were at Hasra's treasure, they also found a chalice, and this chalice appears to have some kind of significance to a local bandit lord and what can only be called as a necromancer. The party were actually captured by a group of bandits called the Vipers, but luckily, due to friends that they had, they escaped. They journeyed via a caravan to a place called Aylesford, and on their way, both Hasra and Hengist gained the titles of lump hefters when they managed to roll a pig. They also, Bartleby and Gulliver also picked up some certain items that they're now carrying with them. However, as they journeyed up to Aylesford, where they were meant to be meeting Finiel and Laram up there, they came across Aylesford that was looked like it had been destroyed by some kind of huge beast. All around them there was what can only be called death and destruction, as a whole load of birds and crows sort of like fed off the people. The party followed tracks and ended up going off into the woods, where they came across what can only be called as some kind of conjurer who conjured up several interesting beasts to sort of like prevent them from escaping. They managed to save a couple of the people, the townsfolk that were here, although several of them were slaughtered by a barbarian as the party dealt with issues outside. The shaman, for want of a better word, summoned up a huge beast from the netherworld to protect its escape and charged off. The party did pursue, although Hasra made some tracking errors and went backwards and forwards, and they eventually crossed a river and came to a series of standing stones. The standing stones, they are aware, I think you were aware that had various, if it would load in, see, yeah. So this is where we left them last time, I think. Is that correct? And as you can see, there was 3 standing stones and various symbols engraved onto the standing stones. Where you are, you can see there's a bit of a red circle going on around you. That was where the ground was sodden and almost like blood drenched round there, and that's where you were stood. Gulliver and Bartleby, I can see that you are carrying of light at the moment. I think it is still daylight, it's not dark or anything yet, and you have arrived at the 3 stones. And if you remember, you can see on them, the one off to the northwest has a chalice on it. The one down to the southeast has a teardrop on it. And the one up at the top, the northeast, had like a woman's face with a halo on it. I do believe last time we adventured as well, you all were privy to your own dreams that each of you had, and I'm not too sure whether or not you've actually shared that with each other or not, but remember those, you've had those. Yeah, and we left you last time arriving in the center of this this standing stone, and I will shut up now and pass it over to you guys.
Yeah, and before we start, there was one other bit that we that you've missed out. After the shaman thing, we did go back to the town, and where we were supposed to meet Finiel by the tree, we found there had been a note left, which had several names on it: Hemas, Tepius, my key, which was double capitalized my, and then
correct
key was, and also Volin.
Yeah.
So those were the 4 names, for a better word, that was on it. And then there was also 5 symbols. One like the chalice. One like one was a teardrop. The other one was the one which is the one on the top right, the one that looks like a woman with hair. And then there was another one that looked like a spider. And then the final one, which I'm going to call the tombstone. Yeah. And Finiel had left that note for us because we were supposed to meet Finiel at the town, and whether or not she showed up when we got lost, I'm not sure.
Okay, cool.
Just, I was going to say, just on a side note as well, wasn't it Ben who took the fungus stone, and wasn't it?
Ben's got the stone of fungus and mold, or whatever it is.
That's right.
Okay, cool, yeah.
Gully's got the lizard one.
Yeah.
Cool.
We don't know where the others are.
I have the beast one.
Yeah.
Yeah, so over to you guys.
So Gulliver wants to have a look at this this note that that Finiel had left, and does it look like it might fold in any way to maybe make something different from what's written?
In the sense of almost like folding.
I wasn't the original one who found the note. It was given to me because I could read.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, at the moment, the actual names on it don't really mean much to anybody, but was the note folded in are there sort of like seams on it, so if we put it back,
there does seem to be some kind of folds on it, but it's just sort of like almost like seams, as if it would be folded up into quarters, just into sort of like 4 squares, and that's would have been it. The letters seem to be, the symbols seem to be spaced out in quite a regular manner, but it doesn't look like that they're in any particular orientation or anything like that. It just seems to be, if anything, you probably think that it's been written in rather a rush rather than painstakingly created in any way. All the symbols are on one side of the piece of paper.
Don't forget to refresh your luck points. And Hasra is going to go around the perimeter of these rocks and look for any tracks that, people walking, anything like that, any kind of a struggle, because there's this huge sodden patch of blood here. He wants to just see if he can see what the movements were in this area.
Okay, so are you going round the outside of
I'll
the stone?
start on the outside and then work my way in as I...
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So let's just move you down there to start off with. So it's going to take Hasra some time to do that. So while he's doing that, Hengist, Bartleby and Gulliver, Gulliver, you are probably, if you want to position yourself, because you can probably be gaining the information that I've just given you about the page at that point. So whereabouts do you want to be? Because you obviously don't want to sit down in the middle of this.
No. I mean, he'll be here.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Okay. And Hengist and Bartleby, what would you like to be doing while Gulliver and Hasra are doing this?
Well, Hengist is probably going to be standing fairly close to Gully, but not right on top of him. And he's going to be sort of like looking at the, sort of like just keeping an overall sort of like look of the thing, but looking at the three standing stones, not closely, but just looking at them and recognizing that there's the chalice one, and then he'll turn to Bartleby and go, "Is that the chalice that everyone's been talking about? Do we think?"
Could be, my friend. I don't know. Perhaps this would be a good time for me to look to Amriel, see if some guidance can be thrown my way. Bartleby will start praying immediately, throwing his hands up to the sky.
Are you moving from where you are? Because you're currently in a blood-sodden, grassy area, or do you wish to stay in the blood?
I'll go more to the center of it.
Okay, Hasra, you can roll me your, I want to say tracking. Yeah, cool. Yeah, cool. So Bartleby, you can roll your devotion. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Let me just find my devotion real quick. Oh, yes. Oh, no.
Yeah, and Amriel is strangely quiet. Don't forget to tick the box for your skill improvement. Does Bartleby, Gulliver and Hengist want to do anything else before, because Hasra, it will take Hasra some time to get right the way around and back down to report back to you. Is there anything else that you guys would like to do?
To wait until Bartleby's finished praying.
Yeah.
Asking Amriel for guidance. And then he wants to say, Bartleby, this is a lot of blood. How many humans would this be?
Bartleby's gonna pretend like he's actually getting some messages from his goddess, and then turn slowly to Gulliver and say, probably 10. Probably. Is there any way that Bartleby could roll a lore history to know of any kind of historical purpose, if like this is a sacrificial site of a tribe I might know of or anything?
Well, you can do, but it will be extremely difficult, because obviously you're over the opposite side of the continent for where you are. But you can roll, that's not a problem. Hasra, you sort of like finish your tour of duty and sort of like get back round, and I'm assuming you will sort of like relay this to the party, so I can tell you out loud. So basically, it appears that just from the south, west, so like coming up from there. This is where your footprints, but also what you think probably was the footprints of maybe the shaman, maybe some other people. It doesn't look like there's only just one. It looks like there's a lot more than that. And you notice that they seem to come into the center and go up to this sort of like blood-stained area. You've been right the way round the outside, and there's no footprints that or tracks of any description that seems to leave this area. Everything seems to go into this sort of like blood-sodden area, and that's it. There's even no tracks or anything sort of like between this area and the three stones. It just appears to, they just seem to go
they
in.
walk into the middle and just stop, just go.
Well, you see them literally come to where Gulliver and Hengist are sat. The grass is so sodden in the middle that, you know, even your own footprints as you walk away, the ground is sort of like, it depresses slightly and then just sort of like comes back up with a suitable sound.
I want to ask a question to Gulliver. Gulliver, my friend, do you know how we came to this side of the continent through that watery bubble of magic? Would it be possible to do that sort of thing using blood?
Oh, I don't know. Hasra, that to be honest with you, I haven't been in the Kraken all that long, and even then, it's only the most powerful of the Kraken sorcerers who can actually control the portals. I've never heard of anything being done in blood,
Right.
because it's normally only the Kraken who can use portals, and they specialize in water. You've probably seen the water shooting up as
Very wet, and yes, it just seems that these tracks I found, they're just coming one direction. They don't leave this place.
But what about the tracks of the vipers? Because isn't that who Finial was actually following? There was loads of them. They were all around that pit and cheering and yelling when that blue sorcerer got eaten by that snake, and they all left. And Finial said that she was going to follow them, and surely you should be able to track them. There was probably 100.
That was quite a distance away from where we are now, though, Gulliver. If you think that was a few days' travel to the south of us, but I have not seen any tracks of any large bands of people.
So you don't think that Finial is following them anymore?
I could not say what Finial is doing. I haven't. It's hard to say who the tracks belong to. There are just many footsteps walking to the blood, and then nothing.
They don't walk away?
No, they do not leave. Which is why I asked. They are either the blood, but then where are the bones? Or they have simply disappeared. And I have seen many strange things since I've met you, my friends, and I cannot explain this. No tracks. When you follow tracks, they always go, they come, they don't just stop.
Gulliver wants to walk over to the closest stone, probably the one that has the
chalice on.
The chalice on, and he wants to have a closer look at it if he may. A couple of things. The chalice, is it engraved into the rock? Does it look like it's been done recently, or is it sort of like covered in, has it sort of like moss and stuff grown into it?
Yeah, okay then. So roll me your locale skill.
Locale.
Yeah. Yeah, you sort of like look at it. It seems to be chiseled into the rock. You're not too. It's not. It's quite obvious that it's not actually recent. it's obviously been here a long time, and you probably think it's probably been chiseled in the same time as the rocks have been here. You notice that the sides of the rocks and the front is all sort of like, it's not pitted, but it's more, there's obviously been weathering occurring to it. But you definitely think that it's not painted on or anything like that. It's actually, it looks like it's probably been stone chiseled into it, and it looks like it's become quite smooth, so it doesn't sort of like keep the remnants of this sort of like the sharp edges. The
other thing that he wants to check, and he's no way an expert or anything like that, but does there look like there was ever anything positioned round here? Is there sort of like an indent or any rubble? He's thinking of, could there have at one point been another stone there?
Yeah, well, you
maybe predicting, with another symbol on it.
Yeah,
so 3, there was sort of like 4.
Yeah, so rather than you doing it, might be wise to ask Hasra to do it, who's sort of like more proficient in these sort of areas. So roll your tracking or survival, Hasra. I'm not bothered which one you roll. Yeah, you sort of like look around where after Gully sort of like asks you to have a look around, and you sort of like have a look in the general area where, via the symmetrical design of this place, where the stone would have been. But you quite quickly come to the conclusion that there's definitely not been anything there. The only thing that you can suggest, back to Gulliver, is that there looks like it's almost like a well-worn track. It seems that this has obviously been the approach to this area for some time, maybe as long as the stones have actually stood here.
Yes, I'll relay that. Yes, Gulliver, there's nothing here. It seems to be just, this is the way that people come in, like the entrance into an open area, an open hall of such. So yes, this must be the way they came in.
That's Bartleby. Have you ever heard of the mountains of Garfaris?
The mountains of Garfaris. Didn't we just read about that in the tome of Chaos Mother?
Yes.
Let me just scratch my memory.
That's where she was sleeping.
Would Bartleby be able to roll a lore history to perhaps know where this might be, or references of nearby rivers, perhaps?
Well, the only reference you have to it, what I think, was from the Chaos Mother's book.
I'm just curious if I've heard it anywhere else.
And I mean, you're completely new to this area, which I think you should be able to see the map.
Yes.
Now, so that's basically all you know. I think it sort of like talks about it being north of Aylesford, and as you sort of like passed across the river, if you remember, up to the north there was a series of mountains, so it's quite possible that those would be the Garfaris mountains, although it would sort of like fit into the general description of the area, but apart from that, you don't know.
Then I'll just point ominously at those mountains.
Yeah, cool.
Like I know.
But the Chaos Mother, she's a spider.
Probably a large one too.
So maybe this note that Finial has left us. Maybe, I mean, we have the 3 of the symbols here on the stones. We have the chalice, and we have the one that's supposed to be a woman, and we have the rock. Maybe the one that looks like a teardrop is the actual blood, and where they lead to is where the Chaos Mother is, and maybe the words that Finial wrote down are the are the words to be used in the circle to actually transport us somewhere else. So you see, there's 4 words, and there's 4 of us.
That's a good idea. I didn't consider that. For some reason, I thought she might have had a code somewhere in there, but I couldn't figure it out with my mind, Gulliver. Should we try and activate?
I think what we should each do, and this is purely just in case something should happen to one of us, is that we should each have a look at or at least try to remember and how to pronounce it, these words properly, because Hengist and Hasra, well, they can't read. So if we practice before we go into the circle, because I think with Hasra saying that the footprints enter but then don't leave, it almost sounds like maybe there's a trap door hidden under the earth, or maybe we just have to use the words to teleport somewhere else.
I say we give it a try.
Are these the words that you mentioned on the piece of paper? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Cool.
That doesn't sound promising.
No, I was just cutting and pasting them into the
right.
chat, just in case you didn't have them all written down, so you had them. I did it earlier on, but I think it would have scrolled up by now. So yeah.
So shall we try that?
So our plan, Gulliver, is for us all to say these words, with each other outside of the circle, and then entering into the circle one by one to see if we can get some kind of effect.
I was thinking maybe one of us per word. For example, if Hasra has Hemas, because Hasra and Hemas start with the same letter.
Right.
And I don't know, maybe.
Am I Tepius?
Maybe has somebody has Tepius.
That actually sounds more like a Hengist word.
And then you can have Mikey.
That's what my goddess always calls me, so I think I'll take that, and I would leave Hasra as.
And I'll have Bolin.
Oh yeah, Hasra.
And we'll try it. We'll try it one at a time to begin with. Each person going into the center of the, standing in the blood and saying the name and see whether anything happens.
Are we sure that it's blood?
Wait.
Because we were at that encampment a while back, and I saw somebody getting potions of sorts, vials, corked red wax seals. Perhaps it's something else, or perhaps we have to use one of their potions. Did you have any reddish-looking liquids in your potion basket?
I'll have a look.
Is this the thing that you took from the camp? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, the milky, frothy liquid, the clear one, translucent blue, and then there was one that I wrote you said red wine consistency.
Oh yeah, what do you want to know? Whether or not it's the same color as the one in the blood soaked area?
I presume Gulliver's probably going through his backpack to see if he still has it, and then Bartleby would be going up to confirm with his fingers, is this blood or is this wine?
Yeah, no, I mean, you have been in battles, and so has Hengist, and it is definitely blood. And the most unnerving thing about it is that there's quite a significant amount of it. And even if you sort of like put your hand on the ground and sort of like press it, it's almost like peat bog. It sort of like presses down and you can see it sort of like coming up between your fingers. It seems a little bit more watery than what you're used to, but that could possibly just be because of the recent rain that you've had. But if you think about it, there's quite a significant area of it. and I think that's the scary part of it. I mean, it's almost like 8 meters in diameter. This.
Are you sure it's only 10 people, Bartleby?
I may have guessed low.
So is the plan then that you're each going to take a word from the note that Phineas left you, take it in turns to go into the blood-soaked area, say the word, and then step out again? Is that the plan? Or are you all going into...
Teleport to a new area.
Do you think that perhaps we should say them outside first, and then maybe see what happens inside? And I don't know, because didn't we with the I mean,
The only thing that I'm thinking of, Hasra, and you pointed this out yourself, is that the footprints go into the middle of the circle, but then don't.
But they
come
don't.
out.
I can't see they go to the middle, but they go up to the circle.
They would
But
used it in the middle of the circle and then gone somewhere else.
didn't your masters at the Order of the Kraken, didn't they open the portal and then we stepped into it, the watery thing, and then we moved into it? Or did I not see that right? I'm usually quite good at seeing things.
This isn't the type of. You don't really know much about magic.
I know nothing about magic.
I don't want to.
Sorry, my friend. I will bow to your wisdom, and
you're more attuned to rabbits and putting down snares and
I'm also a very cautious person, and I thought perhaps
keeping your head really, really close to the ground, looking for signs of people traveling.
Yes, I'm very cautious too, and I thought maybe we should try it outside first to see if anything happened, and then maybe try it inside. There's nothing to lose apart from a few moments of our lives.
Exactly. Gulliver's going to go into the.
Are you trying in the? Are you going to? Oh, you're just going in, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay then.
And once he gets in, he's sort of like going to look round, just to make sure that he hasn't missed anything. From looking at a different angle. Now that he's in the center of the circle, he's going to have a look round, and then he's going to say, "Fall in," and see whether or not anything happens.
So you sort of like stride in. You have a good look round. You figure that nothing has altered since you first arrived at this place. Maybe the sun or the day is past somewhat, and you step into it with the squelching of your boots into the blood-sodden ground. You stand in the middle and you sort of like proclaim Volin. And nothing at all happens.
Gulliver just sort of like sighs. Says, "It's going to be such a long night."
Bartleby's turn. Bartleby is going to equip the death mask of Hasrat's treasure upon his face and walk into the center of the blood field.
Yeah, so the death mask actually has some kind of straps that go round the back of your head and seem to be attached in some kind of leather sort of like tying mechanism. There seems to be no buckles on it, and the front of it is of as you could probably guess, a woman's face that is probably bordering not on beauty but on sternness, and very much sort of like it's not like the fine features of a handsome beautiful woman. It's more of a warrior's, and it sort of like fits nicely sort of like over your face, and as you sort of like pop it up to your face, you almost like feel and walk into the middle. You also almost like feel this this tingling sensation that sort of like emanates from the mask as it sort of like is put over your normal skin. And you stride into the middle and say, which word were you planning on saying?
Bartleby does not follow orders well. He's going to say all 4 in that order.
Yeah, so you sort of like say all those words one after another, and Hasra and Hengist and Gulliver, you sort of like hear the words, but they come out quite mumbled and muffled, sorry, because of the death mask that Bartleby has over his face. And he seems to sort of like, you sort of like get the basic gist of it, that he's actually saying the words, but nothing seems to happen at all, apart from you notice that there appears to be an almost like, and Bartleby, you do not notice this, but Hasra, Hengist and Gulliver, you do, that as sort of like Bartleby's looking round, you notice that there seems to be some kind of glow emanating from the death mask. It doesn't seem to be coming from the front of it. It seems to be coming from the sides of it. And it's almost as if, imagine that the sun is setting behind a rock or something like that, or a bit like an eclipse. And you sort of like see this sort of like light, almost in a halo effect, coming out from the sides of the mask. And it's somewhat strange, but in a strange way, it's also quite beautiful to look at. And you hear the muffled words of the 4 words that you've been pondering, and but nothing sort of like happens at all.
Bartleby will slink away from the middle, shoulders down, defeated.
Hasra will say to Bartleby, "Are you okay, Bartleby? There seems to be light, the glow coming from you."
Yeah, it seems to have subsided now, Hasra. And so Bartleby and Hengist and Gulliver, you saw this as well. And as Bartleby sort of like, before he left the centre of it, it was just there almost like for a moment that you saw it. And it, you even sort of like looked at each other as if to say, did you see that too? And now that Bartleby's back with you, with the funeral mask on, the death mask on, he's sort of like the sort of like the halo, the eclipse effect has sort of like subsided.
Bartleby would take it as a compliment. Thanks, Hasra. Thank you very much.
Perhaps we're missing something. Perhaps because if this is blood, perhaps because there's blood everywhere. Perhaps that's what we need to trigger it. That's in the words. As gruesome as that sounds.
You mean like prick our finger and a bit of blood, or cut our palms? It would be a lot of people coming through here to do that for this amount of blood.
Perhaps, if it is so, that's where the Viper's army went.
Maybe it requires a sacrifice.
Maybe the amount of blood is relevant to the amount of people used to be teleported.
Well, if you say this Viper gang came through here, that would be a vast amount of people.
Because if you think when I summon when I say summon a sword, which is like teleportation, just the opposite way around, I only use a small globe of water. But when the portal gets opened, then there's lots and lots.
Well, we may as well put this into effect, Gulliver, if we have another idea.
Mm-hmm. No.
I'll go ahead and give it a try. Bartleby's going to stride back out.
Maybe Mr. Bartleby, take off the mask, because we could not hear the words under the muffle of the mask.
And you've broken it, Bartleby.
Broken what?
the mask. What have you done to it?
I just put it on my face. It fits real nice.
But all the leathers rotten and fallen off it. It wasn't like that when you had it before.
What can I say? I guess.
You want to get to it.
Well, I mean, we were captured and we found it.
Couldn't, because you attached it onto your head.
But
So it must have happened once it had been attached.
Bartleby is confused. He's feel the back. Are the leather straps still there, or did they?
No, you sort of like feel round the back to where they were tied before and keeping the mask on, but there seems to be no. There doesn't even appear to be a residue of them at all. It's as if once it was tied, they've somehow just sort of like disappeared. However, the mask is still completely firmly in place.
Well, that's funny. And another thing is I don't have any blade to prick my finger. Hengist, could I borrow a blade of yours?
Sorry, the mask is still on
I was about to say,
Bartleby's head.
Over his face, yes.
Face.
has Hengist noticed that the shape of the mask, has it changed from a stern woman's face into more of a Bartleby face for it to have stuck on?
Yes. As Bartleby put it on, he felt a strange tingling sensation, and it seems to have moulded itself. And the stern woman that was there before has now almost like morphed into Bartleby's face. The only strange thing that you notice is that it doesn't actually have the movement of Bartleby's face. So there is what appears to be a sort of like a pillar box mouth and eye holes, and you can hear Bartleby talking through it. But the mask just seems to have moulded completely, and down the sides there seems to be no apparent join. It just sort of like goes from the bronze brass effect of it, and then just sort of like blends into his skin. It seems to be moulded round the base of his jaw and then up. It doesn't go over his ears. It sort of like comes up on either side, and then just underneath his hairline. There seems to be mirroring Bartleby's face altogether.
Mr. Bartleby, have you tried to take the mask off, or are you becoming like a lodestone for magical strange items?
You would have thought you would have learnt your lesson with the amulet, Bartleby.
Yes.
I loved my bracelet, first off, and I don't see a problem with this mask. It's actually quite comfortable. Now, we had a plan, my friends and cohorts.
How are you going to eat with it?
I'll figure that out later when I'm drinking Hengist's tea and I can think clearly. But if we're going to continue on this path, I'm going to need to borrow a blade from somebody.
Hengist will walk forward and sort of like unsheath his sword, and then sort of like he'll hold it and let Bartleby
Run on it.
Run on to
Actually,
it.
I take that back, Hengist. I'm sorry you got it all over here. I just noticed I have a small blade from a priest of Wynn from the church. I'll just I don't think I can even wield your sword, to be honest, Hengist. So I'm going to take out the little blade of the Wynn priest. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. And I'll go ahead and give myself a 1-point damage stab. Or about that much, and then
don't stab, just little gentle slice.
Gentle slice, like
well, you can slice, so some blood sort of like drips off and sort of like drips down onto the already blood sodden area. Is a plan to then say the words or not to say the words? Yeah, and you sort of like recite all the words as before after a few drops of blood sort of like fall onto the blood-sodden area. But yet again, there seems to be no change. There seems to be no magical glow or anything like that at all.
that really stings. I didn't mean to cut myself so hard. Bartleby's going to give up again, step out of the field of blood.
Maybe we try it my way. We stand outside the sickle and we say it one after each other. So I will go first. We say it. I go. James.
Tepius.
Mikey.
Bolin.
Yeah, you sort of like all stand there and sort of like call out the words one after another, and yeah, nothing seems to change at all.
Except our pronunciation that skill's going up. We're getting good at these words. Not that much.
You don't think these are villages on the way to where she's going?
Well, Mikey certainly is not a village name.
What does the sight show you, Bartleby?
Sight? From my mask?
No, your other sight.
Oh, well, it's possible. I have a bad feeling, Gulliver, as Bartleby begins to wave his arms about trying to prepare his prayer, that my goddess will not respond here. But regardless, Bartleby is going to try and cast the prayer of good, lovable sight, if I may. Would I be able to take minutes on it if I can?
Yes, by all means. You could probably take longer than minutes. Doesn't look like anything.
Patience.
Yeah. So we can do a roll and see what it is. Yeah, I mean, that's absolutely fine. So you sort of like pray to your goddess and wave your hands around somewhat. I'm just typing to you what you see.
Excellent. And use my special vision with my special mask, my special face. Oh man, I'm running out of magic points. Okay, I'm real.
There you go.
Gulliver wants to, whilst Bartleby's taking a while to cast spell. Gulliver wants to take out the other book that he got from the house.
Oh yeah.
In was it Aylesford?
Aylesford, yeah.
Yeah, the one that was in the what we assumed was an alchemist shop.
Oh yes, yeah.
And he wants to start going through it and see whether or not he can see these words written in that at all, as maybe as part of an ingredient to if there's any sort of like potions.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Go.
He wants to start looking at to see whether or not he can see it as any form of ingredients in that.
Yeah. Yeah. So just roll your literacy skill.
Whilst Bartleby, was casting his spell, Hengist would have walked around the edge of the blood-soaked circle, and he's approaching the standing stone with the face carved into it, and he just wants to sort of like examine it more closely. If there's anything other than that carved in there, is there sort of like other sort of like what he would recognise as writing on there, although he wouldn't be able to read it, or any other shapes or handprints or anything?
No, all that's actually on that stone is exactly what you can see drawn there. It just seems like to be an oval shape where the face would be. There's no details on the face at all. Then these two squiggly lines down the side that resemble some kind of hair, and then these sort of like the circle over the top of it that obviously represents some kind of angelic halo, for want of a better word. What do you, sorry, yeah, so Gulliver, you start to sort of like flick through this book, sort of like just flicking over the pages and sort of like scanning down to see whether or not these words jump out at you as you flick through. Hasra and Bartleby, what would you guys like to do?
Hasra's kind of on the he's on a similar wavelength to Hengist, and he's thinking, well, maybe the symbols represent maybe Amriel, and that Mr. Bartleby should stand over there and recite the words, or is it a tombstone on the right, and maybe that's a soldier's place to stand, and the chalice is, I don't know,
the waiters.
Yeah, waiters. Yeah, maybe mine. No.
Are you doing anything, Hasra?
No, I'm just going to I'm going to wander around this area and just see if anything comes to light, anything jumps up at me.
Okay, so do you just want to just mark on the map the general route that you would like to take?
I sort of just wander back here and follow these tracks.
Okay.
Just for a couple of minutes.
Yeah, Bartleby, what would you like to do? You might want to type it to me if you want to. Yeah, okay. Gulliver, you're about halfway through the book. There seems to be no sort of like, none of these words actually mentioned at all. You do notice some words that seem to be quite strange, though. Well, not strange. It sort of like goes back to your previous journeys, and there seems to be almost like ingredients mentioned at various points. There's things like a goblin's tooth. And there's something like this. It says something like a spider's web or spider's silk. And on each page there seems to be almost like a diagrammatic form of some kind of outcome. And then next to that, for example, on one of them, there's what appears to be almost like the simple drawing, almost like a stick man. And he seems to have his hand coming down onto like a huge rock. And the rock is just sort of like got bits firing off left, right and centre as his hand meets it. And then sort of like that's on the right hand side of a page, and down the left hand side there seems to be almost like a recipe, like an ingredient, and then down at the bottom there seems to be sort of like weird almost like bullet points that almost like in rhyme talk about the amazing strength of shattering rocks, of being able to lift several men, and you're not too sure whether or not it almost like sounds to be like a rambling of one of the bars in a tavern. It seems quite mystical and quite sort of like.
Is there any description of because it's. Does it look like it's an ingredients for some type of potion?
It certainly looks like it's an ingredients for something. Whether or not it's a potion, I mean, there's no mention of the word there. It seems to be talking about solvents, and it seems to be talking about solutes and solutions. If anything, it seems to be very chemical. It doesn't sort of like have any magical words in that you've noticed at all. It's at this point that you sort of like get that a bit, and you sort of like look up and you see Hengist's back up there, looking at the stone lady there, and Hasra is.
As he looks up, he's going to say, "Maybe it's a door."
Yes,
He's going to look to the stone on the right that has a funny thing that we can't work out what it was. It looks like a gravestone.
The teardrop.
No, that's not the teardrop, is it?
That's the teardrop, yeah.
Oh, I thought that was the one that looked like the one after the spider.
No, there was a chalice, a teardrop, and a face with a halo on the stones. So that's a teardrop. Anyway, you sort of like look up and you're sort of like looking around, and you suddenly notice that Bartleby has walked into the center of the circle. He's got his back towards you, and you can look ahead, and Hengist has his back towards you. You sort of like look round, and Hasra's got his back to you, and you suddenly notice that as Bartleby is walking once more into the middle of the circle, he's slowly being sucked underneath the water, the blood-sodden area. You notice that by the time he gets to here, he's almost like up to his knees in it, and he seems to be almost like pushing his way through, almost like wading through it. And by the time he gets to here, which is when you look up, he's almost like up to his waist in it. And he's sort of like at the centre, and that's when you actually look up. What would you like to do?
The first thing that Gulliver's going to do is to shout a warning to everybody. So you just hear him shout, "Bartleby!"
Yeah. Okay. So you can do that first, and you'll get another action to do before Hengist and Hasra can react.
Does it look like he's going willingly? Oh, well, I don't know whether or not it looks like he's going willingly because I can't see him and he's got a bloody mask on.
Yeah.
Nobody can sense my motive.
So I am going to start casting a spell.
Okay then. How many
I'm just working it out now.
Yeah, cool. So if you start to, I just need to know how many turns it will take. So at that point, cost time, is it 2 turns?
Yes.
Yeah, cool. Okay then. So as Hasra, you're looking, and Hengist, you're looking. You hear Gulliver shout Bartleby, and you can hear the urgency in his voice, and you sort of like turn round, and you notice that Gulliver's sat on the floor with the book, with the tome that he's been reading. But Bartleby is actually in the middle of the blood-soaked area. He's up to his waist in it. He definitely looks like it's absorbing him, almost like sucking him under. Almost, Hasra, you've seen an effect like this before in certain parts of your steppe land where there's too much water. Often the soil gets fully soaked with it and turns into what you class as quicksand. So Hasra and Hengist, you both turn around. Who's got the highest initiative modifier?
Mine's 9.
Initiative modifier 11.
Okay, so Hasra, you will be going first. What would you like to do?
I'll spin around my cat-like reflexes, my spear's in my hand. I will see Mr. Bartleby going lower, instantly thinking about the steps and the quicksand. I will run forward with my spear in my hand, thrusting it out so he can grab onto it and say, "Mr. Bartleby, grab onto my spear, I will pull you free."
Okay, what's your movement?
My movement is... Gosh, move rate is 6.
6. So the edge of the blood is 4 meters away from where you are. And then he is another 4 meters into the center of the...
So I will...
So unless you've got a really big spear, are you going to actually... Is the plan to move your total of 6 meters?
Yeah, well, I want to move up to the edge of the blood and then tentatively move forward because, as we know, quicksand doesn't usually start at the. It kind of goes like that, hopefully. So, but I'll be testing my footing as I step into it.
Okay, then. So you sort of like, and are you physically going to step onto it?
I will, yes, and I will all the time be saying, "Bartleby, grab my spear. Come back, man."
Okay, then. Yeah, so you run up to it. Gulliver, you see Hasra charge past you, and you can see now that Bartleby's up, sort of like up halfway up to his torso. He's still.
Gulliver probably would have stood up as he'd seen.
Yeah, that's cool.
Fell to the ground as he sort of like shouted the warning to everybody else, and then as he starts to cast his spell, his outstretched hand, the globe of water will start to appear.
Yeah, cool. So you start to summon that up. Hengist, you have your action now. You turn around and you see exactly what's been described.
So Hengist sees this, takes this all in a moment, and then he's going to run. So his run distance is 17. He's going to run and he's going to try and stop in front of Bartleby. And then depending what happens, if he's running along the top, he's going to try and grab hold of Bartleby's shoulders and lift him and try and pull him towards him. But if something else happens, I'll wait and see what the description is before I say. What I'm thinking is if I'm running along the top of the ground, and I'm not sinking in like Bartleby has, because he seemed to have sort of like stepped, and as he stepped, he's gradually got deeper and deeper. If that happens, then Hengist is going to try and bodily heave him onto like Fireman's lift him. If that doesn't happen, then Hengist will run along the top and try and sort of like grab hold of his shoulders and pull him up.
Yeah, so you rush in and you sort of like come across the water, across the blood-soaked place, and you don't seem to be sinking at all, despite your negative buoyancy, and you sort of like run in and you sort of like grab Bartleby, and Bartleby sort of like looks up at you quite shocked and almost like puzzled. Do you would like to just roll for me an unarmed combat roll, please, to try to grab him and pull him off? And Bartleby, I just need to know, would you like to resist or not? The answer is just yes or no. It's up to you.
No, I would never resist Hengist.
Okay then. So you sort of like grab hold of Bartleby, and you sort of like you've got hold of him. What do you wish to pull him up? Remember, you're stood in this. Well, it's just that you're stood in the sodden ground. Yeah. So
Hengist is going to sort of like try and. In the grapple, he would have got his arms underneath each arm underneath Bartleby's shoulders, and he just wants to use that strength and upper body strength to pull him up. But if
I think what he's
falling backwards,
how anything to sort of like push against, so you're going to be pushing yourself down as you're doing it.
Hengist isn't thinking of that. He's just trying to literally lift Bartleby up and out. And if he falls backwards. If he thinks that's going to help, then he's going to do that as well.
Okay, so you sort of like wrap your arms around Bartleby. Bartleby looks almost like shocked. You sort of like you hear him almost goes, as you start to sort of like heave him up, and you sort of like are heaving like anything, but it just feels as if there's this unnatural force almost like attached to Bartleby, and you sort of like are sort of like heaving like anything, and it just feels as if it's almost as if his feet are tied to something. Hasra, Gulliver, does your spell come off in the second turn? Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay then. So Bartleby, you can now react. I will tell you openly what you see. Okay, then. So you know. So you can hear or sense Gulliver behind you casting a spell. You can see that Hengist is stood on the blood soaked ground. Okay, and hang on, I'm just typing this to you. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And he seems to be sort of like tugging at you to sort of like pull you towards him, and you can hear Hasra approaching beforehand, and he's running over the sort of like you can hear the squelching of his feet as he seems to be running over the blood-sodden ground behind you. Yeah, what would you like to do?
I guess in that case, Bartleby would say, friends, I found the entrance to the... My goddess has guided me with knowledge of the entrance. We must go down, further down.
I can't understand why moments...
Gulliver, it comes back to you. It will be your second turn. And then it's Hasra's, then it's Hengist's, then it's Bartleby's.
Does Gulliver hear what Bartleby says about?
Yeah, I mean, he's quite. He seems to be quite lucid. He doesn't seem to be panicking at all. But you can see that Hengist is having lots of issues. Trying to pull him up, and Hasra sort of like ran up to the edge and then sort of like gently patted it with his foot and then moved onto it, and he seems to be moving towards it as well. Yes, Gulliver, what would you like to do?
Gulliver's going to he's going to not finish casting the spell. He's going to break off the actual spell casting before the spell comes out. The reason that he's doing that is that he's seen the problem that Hengist is having, and he's almost concerned that although he thinks that his magic might work in a different way because it teleports a person magically, the last thing he wants to do is to harm Bartleby as well. And you know, if the thing holding him in is also magical, Gulliver could maybe just rip him in.
Okay.
Too, depending on.
So, is there anything else you would like to do? Because it'll take you minimum.
Yeah. So he's going to.
You don't have time to cast another spell,
he's
but
going to, as soon as he drops the spell, after hearing what Bartleby said, he's going to say, "But Bartleby, you need to share the way with us."
Okay, cool. Hasra, we're back to you.
Hasra, having a moment of clarity after seeing Hengist on the top of the sodden grass, will realise that this isn't quicksand, because why would it suddenly become quicksand? Mr. Bartleby's already been to the middle once, so has Gulliver, and nothing happened before. So something else is happening here, and this is in the privy of strangeness, really. So he's going to ask Gulliver, I don't know what to do, because it's not quicksand. Something else is happening here. So I will wait for your advice.
Hasra, I mean, you're very suspicious of anything remotely magic, and
Yes.
As you sort of like mentioned, this definitely, it seems to defy all your knowledge about the ground, you know, and so the only sort of like conclusion you can actually draw from it is that
Sorry, I lost you there for about 10 seconds.
Right, so so this sort of like defies all sort of like knowledge of, you know the ground really well. You spent a lot of time on it, and this is definitely not quicksand. And the only thing it's definitely in your eyes something to do with magic.
It's wrong.
Yeah. So what would you like to do?
I will. All I'm going to do is Gulliver. I don't know what to do. This is. I'm going to run across and try and help drag him out. So
you're not happy to do that. I mean, this looks like it's it's almost like, I mean, you're very suspicious of magic in any case, and this seems to be almost like corrupting the actual land itself. And rather than sort of like move on, you suddenly realize that this is probably Gulliver's expertise, and you actually
take a step
back off it. Hengist,
wanting to go forward, I'm gonna just,
yeah.
Yep.
Hengist, it's to you.
Hengist is gonna, after hearing Bartleby, he's sort of like gonna have a puzzled expression on his face, but he's gonna let go. And then he's going to carefully walk round to sort of like about there, and then carefully with his foot, where it's obvious that Bartleby has walked, he's going to gently push his foot to see what onto the ground and see what happens if it goes straight through, as if it's like stairs going down type thing, and he's coming in halfway through and coming. He's waiting to see if it's a drop down or not, basically. Yeah,
so you sort of like walk around and tap it with, or push it with your foot, but yeah, it just seems to be like the blood sodden ground, as you've seen before. And releasing Bartleby from your grip, Bartleby continues to walk forward. And you notice that by the time he gets to here, it's actually almost like up to his neck. And just as you watch him continue walking forward, as you sort of like pressing the ground with your foot, all of a sudden, and Hasra and Gulliver, you see this as well. You suddenly see him just sort of like the sodden ground just sort of like move up. And he seems at the last moment just to disappear.
So he didn't. My question to him, he didn't answer it or anything like that.
No, he just continued to walk.
Blinders.
Find another priest.
Hasra wants to run around to the other side and just tear at the grass outside the blood to see if it's there.
Yeah, just 1 second. I'm just typing something to
Hengist.
Yeah. Sorry.
Hengist is going to say aloud, "How did you do that?"
I don't know.
Maybe it's my bracelet everybody's making fun of. Be magical, groundbreaking ability.
Yeah. Sorry, Hasra, whereabouts were you going to go? Sorry.
Oh, I was going to go to a couple of feet away from where he was last, where we saw him go under. So on the clear bit of grass that's there, slightly away from the blood, just see if I can dig, or just see if I can hear anything, or and shout Bartleby.
Yeah. So you sort of you said that you were digging. Is this with your hands or with your spear, or?
No, just hands, just grabbing at the grass and pulling sods.
Yeah, you sort of like, and Hengist and Gulliver, you sort of like see Hasra sort of like down on his knees or bent over, pulling up sods of grass and soil, and sort of like flinging them around, shouting Bartleby into the thing.
Gulliver's going to he's going to say, Hasra, what are you doing?
Round, it has taken Bartleby. We must try to get him back.
The
Seems
tracks leading into the circle.
Yes.
Were they all following the same path?
Yes, they were.
Single file?
Was it single file, or was it?
They would look like there were maybe 2 or 3 abreast.
Yeah. No. There were 2 or 3 abreast.
Oh, I don't know then.
But I just tested the ground right behind Bartleby, and you can. It's not likely there was a path, unless it's a magical path. Did he say anything to you whilst I was examining the standing stone?
Let me try. I'm going to try, and see whether or not I can use it. Hengist, look away from the circle.
Hengist will turn his back.
And you, Hasra.
If you say so, I'll turn my back away.
And Gulliver's going to try to remember whereabouts Bartleby was. He's not going to have it exact, but he's.
I'll ping it. He went to about there.
Yeah, but he doesn't know whereabouts he started on this.
Oh yes, yeah. Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah. Do you just want to draw a line roughly where you want to go?
Yeah. Oh, hang on. How do we draw lines? Oh, there it is. So he's going to start where he is now, and he's just going to walk. He's going to walk this way, trying to go through the exact center.
Yeah. Okay then. Cool. I'm just going to remove your arrow because I know which way you're going now. So I've seen whether or not it goes across, where it goes across. Sorry. You actually get to here. Okay, and Hasra and Hengist are not looking, so I need to type this to you.
Don't ask Medivac to take his.
I was gonna say that.
He's about in the background.
I promise I won't do that tonight.
Do you get that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it started here.
Hang on. I've asked a question back. Where does it start? Sorry.
Bartleby, you can interact. It started here.
Does anything happen to me?
No, you seem to be stood on the actual surface, but he's almost like as if he's the best way to if somebody's been swimming in the sea. A bit like Daniel Craig coming out of it, like
Daniel Craig.
No, he doesn't. But he's
got pants on.
Yeah, he's just sort of like he just seems to be doing that out of the water. Bartleby, you can interact. You can see Gulliver stood there.
Gulliver, isn't it marvelous what we have discovered?
We haven't discussed anything, Bartleby. All of a sudden, you just started to wander off and started to sink in, and everybody was trying to pull you out. And I shouted, Bartleby, you need to show us the way. And you just kept on going as if I hadn't even spoken, and you could have been trapped wherever you were going forever. And if you had been, we were just going to go back to Lindowe.
That makes sense. I would expect you to go back to Lindowe, but when I hear Amriel's song, I can't always hear everything else. There's something interesting down here. And we need the rest of our cohorts in here as well. Weapons drawn. My little dagger will do nothing if there are threats down here.
Bartleby, I've just said we've no idea what you've done to go in. Everybody else just walks on the surface.
But there's a staircase. Do you not see the staircase as well?
The last thing that I said to you was, Bartleby, can you use your sight? And you said, which sight? And then you all of a sudden remembered which sight, and you started to wave your arms about, and I was looking in the book, and Hengist was looking at a stone, and...
That does sound like Hengist.
I used to put a look on that. And Hasra was looking somewhere else, and all of a sudden when we all looked back, I looked up from the book because I was reading to see whether or not I could see these names in it at all, and all of a sudden you were already waist deep in Southern Earth.
Yeah, well, the sight comes with sounds as well, Gulliver. So I apologize for not hearing your cries of concern. Perhaps we should return to the surface and show guidance to the feet of our cohorts. Bring them down here as well. See what treasures lie.
Well, I can see it now. There's stairs and a ramp.
I almost feel like you're messing with me, Gulliver, because it's as clear as day to me.
Hasra and Hengist, you sort of like, you can hear this conversation going on, and rather than just sort of like keep looking the other way, you sort of like turn round and you see that it appears like almost like Bartleby and Gulliver are almost like having a fond embrace, both at various levels of being sunk into the ground. Hasra seems to be sort of like up to his Bartleby seems to be up to his waist. Gulliver seems to be just over the knees. What would you like to do?
Well, Hengist is going to walk into the circle, get a bit nearer, and say, "How are you doing that?" And that's to both of them, sorry.
Grace of Amriel.
You need to look with your mind, Hengist. You're seeing what you want to see. You're seeing a blood sudden circle, but it's not. I'm stood on stairs going down.
Hengist's sort of eyebrows like meet in the middle as he sort of like frowns in concentration and that odd thought of seeing something that he wants to see but is not there. And whilst doing that, he'll walk to the edge of the circle and then retrace Gulliver's exact steps.
Well,
and just looking at the ground, wanting to say, there's got to be thinking, there's stairs here, where are they? There's stairs here, where are they?
okay, yeah, roll your willpower. Yeah, you sort of like walk in and you're sort of like, it just seems to you like wet, sodden ground, and you're quite sort of like bemused by this. You know, it definitely looks like Gulliver and Bartleby are sort of like sinking into it, and you can even see the blood sort of like occurring and sort of like pooling round their bodies, and all you can see is that your feet don't seem to be going into it, just seems to be staying on top. And that's it. Hasra, what would you like to do?
Hasra is just bemused. He's looking at this. This is not right. This is ground. You don't just walk into the ground and then come back. They're on the stairs. It's grass. It's grass and blood. This is madness. I don't know how you're doing these things, but. Look, now pat the grass, and I'll be like, look, it's firm, it's grass, it's blood.
Definitely, yeah, definitely is. Yes, Gulliver. Sorry, what were you saying to Hengist?
Gulliver's going to say, go out the circle, Hengist. Go out.
Hengist's not going to turn around. He's going to walk backwards to the edge of the circle, take a deep breath, and then he's going to do exactly the same thing again. He's going to be walking forward towards the middle of the circle, tracing the exact steps that Gulliver and Bartleby.
Gulliver's going to go, Hengist, I said go out the circle. Why are you coming back in?
Hang on,
stop.
Hengist, roll a willpower check for me, please.
Can I luck point that?
You certainly can. That will give you your 18. Yeah. However, it is the second time that you've used this skill, so it would now be hard to, or actually maybe even harder than that. So yeah, you sort of like go back in, and you still walk across the sodden ground, and Gulliver says to you, "Go back, go back, go back." And so you,
and once Hengist has gone back, Gulliver's going to come out the circle.
yeah. Let's just cross over to Bartleby and Hasra for a moment. Yeah, Bartleby, what would you like to do?
Seeing that there's not much progress happening here, and knowing that Gulliver is the most capable person of solving this puzzle, Bartleby is going to mumble out loud, mostly to himself, but so Gulliver can hear. I'm going to see what Amriel is guiding me to. I'll be back. I'm going to continue forward.
Okay, so Hasra, you notice that Bartleby sort of like carries on down into the sodden ground, and then actually sort of like disappears altogether. Just back to Gulliver and Hengist.
So Gulliver's going to say to Hengist, he's going to say, Hengist, you need to trust me now.
When have I not?
I need you to close your eyes. Just close them tight.
Hengist will close his eyes.
And this next stage, you'll probably find really, really easy. I need you to clear your mind. Don't
Ouch.
Don't think of anything. Think of nothing, or think of something completely different than you. Think of think of the time that those men took your sister. Think of that. Play it back in your mind.
I do every night, Gulliver.
But do it now. Think of it. Concentrate on that. I want you to outstretch your arms and put them on my shoulders.
Hengist will stretch his left arm out and put it on Gulliver's left shoulder.
Keep thinking of that night and keep your eyes closed. And then Gulliver's going to start walking forward.
Hengist will follow, keeping pace, and so like an arm's length away.
Okay, Hasra, what would you like to do?
I'm watching. I'm sitting here befuddled, and it's just grass. But while watching and trying to, I don't understand. This is beyond my ken.
Okay, Gulliver, what is your? Just one second.
My thing is to actually go down the lines of Hengist is seeing what he wants to see rather than what is there.
Yeah.
And it was through the power of Gulliver's mind that he was actually able to see what was there. So he's thinking that if Hengist can't use his sight to tell him what's there, and also his mind to tell him what he saw before, then it might give him an opportunity to actually see what Gulliver and Bartleby has seen.
Okay, then. Yeah, so Hengist is sort of like removing all his sensory sort of like perception of it as you sort of like lead him and sort of like escort him into the into the blood soaked area. Hasra, you see Gulliver sort of like leading Hengist, who seems to have his eyes shut, into the blood soaked earth, and both of them are going down and starting to sort of like sink into the ground.
Gulliver's going to, as he's doing it and he sees Hasra looking their way, he's almost like going to hold up a hand,
My internet's playing up.
outstretched.
Yeah,
He's
and
not going to say anything because he wants. He doesn't want to. He doesn't want to pull Hasra away from.
yeah. Okay, then. So you're
Sorry,
sort of,
Hengist, not Hasra.
yeah. So you're sort of like slowly leading Hengist down, and all of a sudden, and Hasra, you see this as well. You notice that Bartleby comes almost like bolting out of the up from the grass and the blood-soaked earth, and he seems to be running at such a speed, and he seems to like come straight up. He's sort of like running in this direction.
Sorry to interrupt, but we've lost Medivac.
All right, well, that seems to be a good point to just leave it there then and take a break, and hopefully we'll be able to get him back. So, yeah, so if you're watching the stream, we'll have a quick 10 minutes break there where we can reset everything, and then we will be back in 10 minutes. So please do not go away.
My mind has gone
Okay, we are back live. I just need to move Mr. Pickles. Oh no, that's fine. You're in now. I think you might have moved.
Mr. Pickles has got a posh sippy cup.
Close up.
Let's just
Got some metal straw as well.
That's
Oh yeah, I love this. It's
pretty good.
very fun.
there you go.
I've got my Superman one, but it's really old now. The straw's a little bit funny.
Okay,
Fair
so we left it just as Bartleby came running up out of the ground again, and you come up and you see Bartleby sort of like Gulliver leading Hengist into the ground, and he seems to be entering it exactly the same way as you did. And that's where we pick it up. So anybody can go first. Bartleby, you're probably best to go first because you've just rushed into the scene.
Yeah, and Bartleby's a little bit out of breath and kind of like he's just been running quickly, and looks to Hasra and Gully and Hengist and says, "Okay, there's something scary down there. It just spooked me."
Down where?
Down the stairs, Hasra.
Mr. Bartleby, there are no stairs. It's grass.
Hasra, make a willpower check.
This should be good. You are kidding me!
Yeah.
Nice.
Amriel has maybe shown me something that I've never seen before.
Yeah, and you sort of like look before, and as Bartleby sort of like says these words to you, you suddenly there's a dawn of realization to you when you suddenly notice that the blood sodden ground is not actually there at all. And there seems to be a ramp or set of stairs that goes down and into some kind of tunnel underneath where you are. So you're stood on top, and it's just sort of like goes, and you suddenly realise this, that, it might have been a blessing from Amriel herself, or just your sheer understanding of the natural surroundings, that you suddenly realise that the area that you thought was blood-soaked ground beforehand, it's nothing there at all. It's literally just like a ramp going down, and then it sort of like comes. It sort of like goes underneath there, if that makes sense.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, and Bartleby's sort of like coming rushing up. Yeah, Gulliver and Hengist.
Gulliver wants to. He's going to have a quick, almost like glance behind, just to see whether or not Hengist is actually.
Yeah,
coming down the.
He's got his eyes closed and he's got his hand on your shoulder, and he's actually seems to be stood on the ramp.
Okay, Gulliver's going to continue walking then.
Angus will, feeling that Gulliver's moving forward, he's going to carry on moving forward, and all he's got in his head is going around just that eventful night.
Yeah, you're sort of like stopped now, Gulliver, because Bartleby's just come like running out of the tunnel, out of the darkness below, and he's sort of like coming straight towards you.
Gulliver's going to say, Bartleby, we have nowhere else to go. We have to go down.
Yeah, but there was a big thing down there and it lunged at me. I think it might be a giant spider filled with venom, and sharp fangs, and web spittery. I think.
I think the only thing that you can do, Bartleby, is bless us before we go.
That is a wonderful idea. My goddess would certainly love to bless each and every one of you. I'm going to start doing prayers of protection. going on Gulliver first, if I may.
Yeah, by all means.
And protect from the foul things.
Hasra, what would you like to do?
Very
3 points.
Kind of befuddled and looking at now what he can see. He doesn't know. I mean, he's going to assume that Mr. Bartleby has done something as he saw him coming up. And with this, he will run around to the start of the ramp and then run and then slide down on his feet to Mr. Bartleby.
Yeah, it's not that steep of a ramp or that wet of a ramp, but you can sort of like shuffle down. Yeah, your magic doesn't come off, Mr. Bartleby, even if you take hours to try to cast it. And a point of luck will not help you switch those digits around, but you can re-roll it if you would like to use a point of luck.
Well, this is just a sign that Amriel believes Gulliver is protected enough. So I'd like to move on to Hengist, if I may.
Okay, yeah, Hengist is still with his eyes shut, holding on to Gulliver's shoulder.
If it's not convenient to pray for him up here on the stairs, then we could probably make it to the bottom of the stairs, and then would that be more
Hengist,
effective?
you can just hear all this talking going on around you. You're just sort of like stood there with your eyes shut, holding on to Gulliver's shoulder.
Yeah, he's trying to drown them all out. He's concentrating on this event. That's the last thing he was told to do.
Okay, then.
Gulliver's going to he's going to move down the stairs.
Yeah.
Slowly.
Yeah, Angus will follow. It's like about an arm's length away again.
Okay.
Hasra will again follow them while in his head. Well, in fact, out loud, muttering to himself, maybe the grass was like a rug over a trapdoor, and that is what it is.
Okay, so what's the plan then?
Can Gulliver see what's at the bottom of these stairs?
Yeah, it goes into what appears to be a tunnel of some description, and then sort of like
stairs end, and then there's a bit of
it's a ramp or stairs. So in certain bits, it's just like an incline, and then there might be two little steps cut out of the soil where it's got too steep or something like that. Okay. And then it sort of like goes down, and then it sort of like goes down underneath the far side, and then you can see after a while it turns to your left as you go in.
Okay, so once Gulliver thinks that Hengist head is below ground.
Yeah, so that'll be in the tunnel.
Right. So as soon as he gets into the actual tunnel, Gulliver's going to stop, but without turning around and looking at Hengist, he's going to say, "Hengist, open your eyes."
Hearing that, Angus will do exactly that. He'll open his eyes and look around.
Yeah, it appears that you are underground. There seems to be no exit behind you at all. It seems that your Gulliver sort of like brought you underground, and you're now almost like trapped underneath there. There seems to be no passage behind you or anything like that.
Okay. Hengist will, with his left hand, sort of like clap Gully on the shoulder and say, "Thanks very much, Gully. Now where to? What's going on?"
Draw your sword, Hengist. This Bartleby has said that there's something down here.
In one fluid motion, Hengist will draw his sword and step in front of Gully into the entrance of the cave.
Wait, Hengist, there's something on your sword. I need to. I'm going to try and touch his sword and cast a prayer, if I may.
Yes, by all means.
You're missing a little blessing of Amriel on that blade, and it's making it look smudged to me.
Yeah.
Moon goddess power, moon blade.
So Hengist, you suddenly find yourself completely underground. Gulliver, Bartleby, and Hasra, you of course can see the exit. Hengist has no idea where it is, and almost like trusts you, Gulliver. Maybe you've teleported him somewhere, or maybe something else has happened, but he's actually found himself sort of like underground. And I think Gulliver and Bartleby, I think you're the two people with the light source. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay then.
Yeah, just Gulliver has my lantern, don't you?
Yeah. So just so I know, so Hengist is leading the way. Is that correct?
Yeah. How wide is the tunnel? Is it 1 person wide, 2 person wide?
You can only go down it one abreast in any case. So I'm just making sure that everybody can see everything. Who's going behind Hengist?
I'd like to go behind Hengist for the simple fact that if there is anything there, the two fighters are at the front.
But then we won't be able to see anything.
Doesn't the light cast a bit more than that, or isn't it?
I don't know how far it casts.
Well, it depends. It's about
Right.
9 meters, isn't it?
We could set it up so that I'm the third person in line, and Hasra has the light source that I have, and then if combat ensues, you can quickly pass it back to me, and I'll be more than happy to take that off your hands.
If it casts 9 meters, that should be plenty. Because we're going to be literally a couple of feet away, well, a meter away from each other, aren't we? Unless Gulliver wants to go second, or you want to go second, and then you've got Hengist in front and me behind, so you can bless us both, or
Decide where you want to go.
and you've been down here before, haven't you?
Fill in.
Yeah.
Well,
in fact, Bartleby, you're probably going second because you've been here before, haven't you? You know what's around the next corner.
yes, but I'm
if
also
there is a
scared. I'll be second. I'll take second. I'm scared though.
So Hengist is going first, and then Bartleby, yeah?
Correct.
Then
Me.
and then Hasra, and then Gulliver, you're going at the end, yeah? At rear guard.
Yeah. Gulliver will just file in.
Okay then, and how are we proceeding, Hengist?
Hengist is going to go at a slight, a decent walking pace, because he knows there's enemies in front, but the only way is forward. So he's not running, but he's a fast walking pace.
Yeah, I was more. Have you got weapons drawn?
So yeah. He's already drawn his sword, so he's got his sword drawn, and it's sort of like out to his side.
Okay, so your weapon's drawn. What? Hasra, you've got your spear out, I
Spear
think.
always out, yes.
And Bartleby, you've got
Light source
light
and
source.
The dagger of Wind Priest.
Yeah, and then Gulliver,
Gulliver's got a lantern in his left hand, which he's holding up to try to shed as much light as he can. And then in the other hand, he's going to reach into his tunic and he's going to take out the magical disc that he uses to cast some of his sorcery spells.
Cool. Okay, I've checked everybody's light source and I think it is working. So I will move. Say again, sorry?
It's all right. Fine.
So as you go down the corridor, the tunnel, it's definitely a tunnel, and it's definitely sort of like carved out or being dug out of something. It's quite almost like cylinder-like. And as you go down, you notice that it's not smooth. It definitely looks like something sort of like being digging out at it. And you also notice, especially at this beginning area, you notice that there's several cobwebs, quite big ones, stretched across the walls and sort of like out in cubby holes. You see them arching over the top of you. You also notice, Hasra, can you just make for me a tracking roll, please?
Yes, indeed. Oh. Yeah, I'll go with that. So I'm not going to use a point of luck. I'll just go with that.
Yeah, you sort of like head down there. This is obviously been used before, but by what you're not too sure. But there's definitely a well-worn path coming down this ramp. Right, I'll just move you over to the map that everyone else can see. You should all be able to control your characters, and you should all have suitable light sources. Yeah. So you notice, have you still got your... Yes, you have. Sorry, it was just hiding underneath Hasra. You notice as you get to the point where you are now, is that you notice that the corridor becomes, or the tunnel, is definitely a tunnel. On the ground, there's this sort of like rough soil. It doesn't look like it's been carved out or anything like that by human hands, and there doesn't seem to be any sort of like machinery at work or spades or technology or anything like that. It just seems to be almost like carved out via or some kind of animal. You notice that in various places, as you can see from where you're stood, it seems to go be very sort of like, looks as if somebody's tried to go in one area and then stopped and come back. You should be able to see that the corridor, or sorry, the tunnel sort of like goes off to the north, but it also looks like it goes down to the south, the southeast.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry, you won't be able to see that, Gulliver, but the people ahead can see it, because I think you can only see sort of like half of Bartleby.
Yeah, I was just saying yes,
Yeah. So
in the map.
yeah. So it's just sort of like that. You do notice that just where you're stood, there's some what appears to be some planks of wood, some slats of wood. It seems to be more to do that you think it was probably once a crate or some description that has been sort of like destroyed and just lying there.
Okay. So Angus will, getting to this point, will pause and sort of like look down each of the three sort of areas in turn, and say, I think we should probably try north. That seems to be... Well, I can see furthest this way. Let's try this way. And he's going to start walking down that way.
Yeah, Bartleby, that was the direction that you saw the thing in, that you saw moving beforehand.
How high is the ceiling in this?
Literally a fully grown man or woman.
So there's no chance that something's going to be able to scuttle, or a big spider's going to be able to scuttle along the ceiling.
Not at all. If anything, you're feeling quite almost like it's so like low. It's almost like you almost like hunch, even though you can walk upright. You're sort of like quite hunched over as you sort of like feel that things are pressing down on you. Hasra and Gulliver, you need to move your tokens if you're moving forward.
As he comes to this area and he sees the
you can see the corridor going off to the southeast now.
Yeah. Okay. But the other thing that he sees the wood on the floor, so he's going to stop and have a closer look at it.
Yeah, it seems to be
just like a broken.
Yeah, it looks like a crate or something has been broken to pieces. They're not as uniform as you can see them there. They're more sort of like bashed up. But
he used his foot to move them around, see whether or not he can see whether or not he can tell what might have been in it.
Yeah, I'll just move Hasra for one moment. Yeah, it doesn't look like there's been anything in it. It looks like it's literally, imagine a crate that has literally been prized to bits, but the wood has just been left here. There doesn't seem to be anything on the ground or anything like that around it. It's almost as if it might have broken and they've just sort of like broken it up as if to, well, it seems to be quite strange because it's just left there. There seems to be no reason for it to be there as far as you can tell.
Okay. Could it have been broken up to be used as a light source? You know.
Yeah, it looks more
Maybe.
as if it's, you know, when suddenly you're trying to get rid of something and you're almost like clearing out, and you sort of like stamp on stuff and sort of like break it up so it's easier to manage. It's more like that rather than used to light as to be a torch.
Does
or
it look
anything.
like it's been here for a long time, or does it look like it's something recent?
You think it hasn't been here for years or decades. I mean, it looks quite dry and it looks quite recent. You probably think, you can tell that on as you turn over the pieces of wood, you notice that it actually has almost like resin on one side of it. So, and that's obviously there to keep whatever was in it dry. But there's no mold on it, and it doesn't look rotten in any case. So you probably think it's, you know, it's been quite recent. You know, maybe weeks, days, maybe pushing it a month, but not further than that.
Had Gulliver seen anything similar in Aylesford?
No, not like this.
Okay, thank you. That's me done.
You, Hengist can see there's a similar crate just ahead of him as well. So Hasra, just to let you know, you can see off to your east. This is actually like
Just an alcove.
it's just an alcove, yeah.
Yep. There's nothing on the floor or anything. There's
No, if anything, it almost like looks almost like worn. It's almost like semicircular in here. It's definitely sort of like almost like roll your survival skill for me, or animal law if you have it.
oh well, there we go. Survival. I don't have an animal law.
Yeah.
Is it like sort of like the where the water would tunnel
No,
out?
it looks more like a burrow.
Oh. I will relay that information on to my party and say this looks more created than natural. This has been burrowed out by the looks of it.
I think it could be one of those Borkin doing that.
I don't think they had the physical attributes, because like you know moles that like dig and
Yeah.
make burrow. You know, they dig and make a mole burrow. Like the Borkin, there was those strange bowmen. They were more like us. They wouldn't. I don't think they would do this personally, but this has been made by some creature.
I've seen a mole before. It was on old Gladys's face. She was down at the docks. I don't think that could have cut through
the-
rock.
Have you seen that the dice roller has changed?
I did, yeah.
Was
There's one called Fudge, so of course I pressed that one.
Yeah.
Where's dice roll? Dice roll.
You know the where
Oh,
the
my
dice roll-
life, yes.
Everybody roll dice quickly.
The only reason I was looking at it is Gulliver, can you roll for me a perception roll? You can use luck on it if you wish.
I don't think I will.
No,
Unless
okay
it's
then.
a
Yeah.
war.
So
Reverses.
you when you're sort of like there looking at this wood, and Hasra's talking about moles, etc. You do hear something that seems to be almost like echoing around the tunnel. It doesn't sound like a scraping sound at all. It doesn't sound like human. Well, it could be human. It seems to be more clicks. It's almost like you can hear
Gulliver's going to go, shh, shh, shh. Did you hear that?
Yeah, and as soon as you go, shh, 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 it just stops.
I definitely heard something.
You're not too sure. It didn't come from behind or in front. It definitely came from either the direction Hengist's is with Bartleby or to your south east.
Did I hear the stories or?
No, you were busy talking about moles.
Moles. Mole.
Hasra, although your insight into moles is very intriguing, can you tell whether or not people have gone down the corridor to the south east?
I can have a look, my friend, and I'll be.
Because we might be heading in the wrong direction.
Yes, I will. I'll check the floor. I'll
Okay.
move around to here, and I'll using the lights from Gulliver. I will check the floor, just see if any disturbance or.
Yeah, so
or-
make a tracking roll, of course, because it's the second time you've done it. You'll be at hard now. Yeah, it looks like it doesn't look like anything's been down this tunnel at all. If anything, you can see just in front of you there almost like seems to be some kind of cobweb stretched over the entrance. Can you see that?
yeah, it's not broken. I take it. So,
No.
no. I'll point that out to Gulliver.
And Hengist, you can see that there's a cobweb here blocking off that entrance as well. So whenever you see these cobwebs, they're sort of like blocking off an entrance or an exit.
As I said to Gulliver, there's a cobweb stretching across the entranceway, so nothing has passed here recently.
We need to look out for those then. Because as far as I was concerned, we're following the people who have already come down here.
That's right. But how long ago did they come down here?
They can't have come down all that long ago.
Yes, do remember that you went on quite a guided tour.
It was a nature tour.
Yeah, because they left and then I think you went round. I think you went back to Aylesford, did you not?
Via the
Yeah, and then you came
world.
back out here, and I think you had at least one night because you had the dreams out that.
That's right. We definitely
that
did.
stopping time. Yeah.
Angus is going to carefully walk a little bit further, and he's going to walk up to sort of like about.
I'm going to say to Gulliver, Gulliver, you go in the middle, and I'll bring up the rear.
Yeah. So
Gulliver sort of like looks at him a bit suspiciously, and then moves.
yeah. So you can.
Looking round at Hasra.
Yeah, so the light source allows you to see through the cobwebs, but the cobwebs are stretched across the sort of like the tunnel, and if anything, they look quite natural stretched across the tunnel. It seems to be quite normal almost. It doesn't look like. It seems as if they're meant to be there. And Bartleby, you can see one to the left of you there. And then Hengist up at the front, you can see that the one going off to your right, there's a cobweb over there. And the one to your left, there's a cobweb as well. But you can see that the tunnel progresses as your light sort of like shines through the webs. They are quite thick, i.e. deep. But they're not solid. You can see through them.
Okay, Angus will carry on walking up to this one, and he's going to face the one that I'm just pinging now. And then he's going to stretch his sword out, and he's going to gingerly. He doesn't want to cut through it. He just wants to put enough pressure with like the flat of the blades to. Because he's thinking spiders, sort of like when they sense something on the web, that's when they come. So he doesn't know what size spider this is. It could be a small one, but he knows that Bartleby ran in panic from a spider, and he doesn't remember Bartleby being that scared of things like that. So he wants to test the web to see if anything starts flying at him first before he does anything else.
So you just want to push the flat
The
end
flat
of
of the blade against the web enough that it's sort of like it moves, that he can feel it moving, and if anything was attached to it, it could feel it moving as well.
But you don't want to break it.
Not yet, no.
Okay, yeah, you do that. You press it up. You press on it. You don't break it, and you release the pressure on it.
And then he's going to wait a few moments.
Gulliver's going to stop at this this crate thing. This one looks in. Is it in better nick than
It
the other
is.
one?
It's in total good order. Although you do notice from the top, it's completely all right. But you do notice when you look down at it that it looks like it's been dropped. And because it's obviously shattered, and although it's still upright, you can see round the base all the wood is splintered from its base. So it's almost like you could quite easily sort of like lift it up or tipple it over, and that's it.
Is there any markings on it?
No, I was just about to say it's totally devoid of markings at all, but it seems to be covered with resin, like the wood that you saw beforehand. It almost like you've seen this, and Bartleby, you have as well. When things are being transported, especially if they're being transported by river or by sea, that they actually put stuff in these resin coated crates because it would be waterproof in this situation.
So it could be something that, for example, a ship that had been travelling down the river, if it had been attacked by bandits or something like that, it could have been stuff that had been hauled off.
Yeah, or it could be stuff that it's likely to be a crate from, you think, and this is verified via Bartleby. Bartleby and Gulliver, just roll your commerces. I just want to see how good you are.
I want to use a point of luck.
Okay then. Yeah. So Gulliver, you recognise it as definitely as river travel. It's to keep precious items or consumables, or something like parchment or something like that would actually be damaged if it got wet. And you have to, in Lindowe, you have to pay quite substantial amount for that. A lot of people can't afford it, so they just sort of like box it up in normal crates and hope for the best. But this crate, as you look at it, it's not well made, but it is covered in this almost like waterproof resin.
Gulliver wants to put his amulet back in his tunic, and he's going to put the lantern on the floor, and he's going to kneel down, and he wants to. How big is it? Sort of like a foot and a half.
Yeah, well, I think it's just nearly a meter across.
Okay, he wants to see whether or not he can kneeling down. He wants to try to sort of like lift it up a bit so that he can, with the lantern being on the floor, whether or not he can see whether or not there's anything.
Yeah, so you sort of like lift it slightly, and you notice that inside nothing tipples out, but you can see that there seems to be straw or hay as packaging. And you know that this, from your commerce roll, you know that this is often straw is actually packed round things that are breakable or precious, and you can see that it's this has been dropped and the bottom has smashed, and it's almost as if it's just been left here. You can't see what's in because you could probably tilt it over a bit, and then
Yeah, he's going to try to tilt it right the way over so that he can see the content.
Yeah, so you sort of like tip it back on itself, and yes, definitely the wood has cracked, right the way round. You don't think it's been hacked or anything like that. You think it looks as if somebody's dropped it, and you sort of like tip it over, and you sort of like rummage through the sort of like straw a bit to see what's actually in there, and you suddenly realize why it probably shattered, because it's actually full of a variety of what appear to be chalices. Some of them are wood, some of them are bronze, some of them are just pewter, and it seems to be absolutely packed tight almost. It's as if somebody's laid chalices down sort of like end to end, if that makes sense, so they'll fit in. So the cup is there on one and the cup is there on the other one, and so they're all lined up, and then it looks like there's been a layer of straw or hay and another layer in, and then a layer and another, and it's about 4 layers of these chalices, and they seem to be from a huge variety of quite reasonable ones to almost like pewter rubbish ones.
Gulliver's going to say, Bartleby.
Yeah. Gulliver. What's going on? Are these chalices?
I don't think they have the chalice yet. What did the priest of the order, the one that got bitten by his head bitten off by the snake? Well, he didn't get his head bitten off. He was sort of like eaten in two and then pulled apart. But what did he say about the chalices?
Didn't he say something about how the big mean guy didn't have the right one, or wasn't using it the right way?
I don't think they have it. I think they're just collecting every chalice. They're following every story that they've heard about chalices and just trying to find the right one. Look, this is full of them.
Hengist, can you just roll a 1d100, please?
Gulliver's going to look to see which one he thinks is worth the most.
Yeah, you'll need to make another commerce check. Are you planning on taking it?
Borrowing.
Yeah. So you look around and you pick one that you think is probably the most expensive looking. Hengist, while Bartleby and Gulliver are talking behind you, you hear almost like a rhythmic sort of like clicking sound coming from, it's either the web straight in front of you or the web behind you from one of those 2 corridors.
Okay.
It's not from the actual web. Yes, so Gulliver, you pick up one.
Gulliver's going to stand up and he's going to say, "Here, Bartleby," and he's going to hold out the chalice.
I'll put away my dagger and take the gift from my friend.
As soon as he does that, Gulliver's going to turn round so his backpack's towards him. He's going to say, pull it in.
You don't think they'll miss this?
Hengist is going to say, shh. Back up a little bit. Something's coming.
I'll help Gulliver with his backpack situation and back up.
And Hengist is going to step back a bit so he's now got both sets of cobwebs in view, and he's going to. He wants to listen out, as strain his ears and eyes as much as possible to listen out to see if he can hear anything, to see if he can still hear the clicking.
Yeah, roll perception. Do you wish to look at it at all? Or
No.
You sort of like tell the other 2 to be quiet, and you sort of like back up, and you listen intensely, but you hear nothing at all. The whole place is quiet.
He goes, I heard a rhythmic clicking noise. I don't think we should linger. Get the chalice in the bag as quick as possible, and then we need to move on.
Gulliver, didn't you hear that back in the last entrance?
Yes, but it stopped. I thought maybe it was sounded like rocks. Somebody like hitting two rocks together.
And then Hengist is going to move forward, and he wants to start trying to cut through the webbing in front of him, so the northernmost webbing.
Okay, yeah. So you sort of like put your sword out. Just 1 second. Yeah, you sort of like put your sword out and you start to sort of like swipe it backwards and forwards, and the web, it looks quite thick, but it's no match for your blade. I mean, it's not strong or anything like that. And sure as you start to like cut it, you notice that it is sort of like stretched across almost like in tension, and so once you start to release it, you do notice that it parts very, very easily, and before long you can sort of like take away the webbing altogether.
Okay. As soon as he's done that, he's going to turn to the others and say, "Have we got the chalice? It's time to move on."
Which chalice? There's loads of chalices.
I put one of them in Gulliver's backpack. Yes,
The most expensive one.
If you think these chalices have just been left here, maybe they're not important because they have just been left here.
Yeah, and Hengist, as you move off, and while the others are talking about their chalices behind you, you suddenly notice that coming round the corner in front of you, coming out of the I think you can actually still
I can see it.
yeah coming sort of like round the corner comes what appears to be quite a big spider. It's not covering the whole tunnel, but it's probably something that's been responsible for it, and it just seems to appear around the side of the corridor. And at that moment we will go into once I get the combat tracker up and running, we will go into some combat.
Just take your shoe off and hit it.
Burn it with fire. Oh,
Burn it. Hairspray.
Where's Ashenek when you need it?
I ruined the living room carpet by doing that because I hate spiders. I got hairspray in my lighter, and my ex-wife didn't like that.
Okay.
Nasty roll from
Is this
in-laws.
everybody?
Yes, everybody into
Sorry,
combat,
sorry.
please.
A nasty roll there from in-laws.
My modifier is a 10 for conflicting with other people.
What's yours, Hengist?
9.
Right, so round that way. Gulliver and Hasra?
Mine is 12, which I think I beat Hasra by 1.
Oh, cool. Excellent.
He's muted anyway.
We got the same.
Okay, so you can we'll just see how that goes as it goes. So this is coming straight into combat round 1, turn 1, and so the spider actually moves on its first attack.
Do we all see this?
You can see it now if your light shows it. If you
Yes.
can see it, you can see it. So the giant spider sort of like comes round, and it seems to almost like using the sides of the tunnel as well with some of its legs to sort of like keep in the right place. It doesn't seem to be touching it. Its stomach's not sort of like down to the floor or anything. And you do notice, Hengist, that just above in front of you there's a small gap. You can probably see it in the webbing, and that's where it's actually come through. So that was on its movement on 25. So Bartleby, you're up next.
This might be a stupid question. Is spider silk an organic material?
Normally, yes.
Okay, well, I can't use a certain spell then, so I'm going to cast protection on myself.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
And I'm going to use a point of luck.
Yeah, to reverse it, which will do it. So yeah, you will cast your protection. Let me just pop it on for you so we know that you've got it on. There you go. Excellent. So that's Bartleby spell casting. Yeah, Hengist, you're up.
You're muted, Hengist.
Seeing this spider scuttling towards him, sort of like using the walls as well, Hengist will sort of have settled into his combat stance, and as soon as he gets within striking distance, he's going to do a big swing of his sword, one-handed.
Yep. So there'll be an attack. Yeah, that hits. Just let's see what this beast does. Yeah, it tries to sort of, as you swipe at it, it tries to almost like manage to try to get out the way, using its legs as leverage to try to avoid it, but it misses. It doesn't quite get out of the way, and you actually catch it as you hit it. So you will have one special as well.
Okay. I'll see if I can use something different that I don't normally use.
You'll end up using bleed. Just use it.
No, I don't want to use it. I don't want to.
Use the force.
Take a break for fun.
Hengist will use lead. No, I'm joking.
Okay.
I'm joking. Hengist is going to lunge into this thing, so he's going to use Impale.
Oh.
Okay then. Yeah, so I need a location to sort of roll 120, please, because obviously it's not a humanoid creature.
120.
19. Yeah, so you actually catch it on a part of its thorax.
Okay.
What's that?
The front part of the spiders only have two parts of the bodies because they're arachnids.
I thought it was his throat.
No, it's a sort of like its front body. Yeah.
For 10 damage.
Are you impaling?
Oh, yeah, sorry. I have to do 2, don't I? And take the best. Sorry. Take the first one, please.
Yeah, so that's 2 points of 10 points of damage. Sorry, on that. So yeah, so you whack your sword down, and it sort of like splits through the chitin outer shell and sort of like plummets down into the actual spider. Let's do that. Let's do that. Go to that. I roll this. Yeah, and it sort of like strikes through into the soft tissue behind, and you hear the spider almost like let out this almost like inhuman screech as you cut through it. Yeah, so now we are down to Gulliver and Hasra, whoever wants to.
It's Gulliver first.
Yeah,
sorry,
cool.
I missaid his.
Yeah, Gulliver.
Okay, so Gulliver has the lantern on the spot, but he's also put away his disc to to check underneath this.
Yeah.
But seeing the spider coming towards Hengist, and Hengist taking a swing at it, he points at the spider with his 2 fingers crossed, and you hear him say, "Emmet!"
Okay, folk magic spell coming out.
Cast a spell. So the spell that is coming is that.
Yeah.
And hang on, it's done, but it's reset the some of the things. Endurance is you resist, but it's not a touch. It's
right.
Ranged.
Okay. Cool. Endurance. It fails its endurance thing, so it will gain 1 fatigue level. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Okay then. Did you crit it?
Was that a critical? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it was. So what happens to your? It's
either no cost or do I get 1d3 back?
Right. Let's have a
I
look.
always get confused with my folk magic and my sorcery. I'll quickly have a look. I don't have it. I didn't have it.
Right, I have it. Is it a folk magic spell? Did you say?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay then. You will get.
Critical set 0.
Yeah.
Magical cost is 0.
It's 0, so you don't lose anything on that roll. Cool. Okay then. So now it's you, Hasra.
Right. I want to move. I can get through people, can't I? So I want to squeeze through Bartleby and Gulliver and then move up to the side of Hengist.
Okay, so
That's it.
that'd be your movement as long as that's in within your movement. Yeah, and you get up there. That's your movement done. Okay then. So we now go off to turn 2. And the spider goes first, Hengist, and it launches its attack at you. It seems to have it sort of like arches itself up and brings its mandibles into you. You can see that it seems to have some kind of fangs that are coming out towards you. And yeah, and it sort of like comes, makes a lunge for you, but it mistimes it, or you suddenly see that it's moving far too slowly, and it actually sort of like you easily get out of the way of it without even having to move. It's obvious that Gulliver's spell is working nicely. Bartleby, you're up.
I would like to draw the priest's knife of Wynn.
Yeah, cool. So you're just readying a weapon. Yeah. Okay then. And Hengist, you're up.
So Hengist is going to, having lunged into this beast, feeling it right as it was about to pounce, managing to avoid it, he's going to use that momentum and he wants to yank the sword out.
Okay, brawn check. Yeah, and you yank the weapon back out again.
Hang on. It's been so long since I've used
Does it do damage when it comes
That's
back?
what I'm thinking, but I'm just trying to remember how much it is.
Impale, 2 shapes.
Impale, there we go.
Takes for a pull of weapon. Yep.
Location.
Equal to half of the normal damage roll of weapon.
Okay, so the normal damage roll is 1d8, but I've got 1d10 at the moment because of the spell, so I don't know what that would be.
It would just be you would just roll your normal damage, including the spell as well, and then we just halve it. Just while they're doing that, and Bartleby and Gulliver, can you just make perception rolls? This is not so half of 5, yeah. And that goes on to this. And Bartleby, do you wish to look that?
I very much do.
Yeah, so you pull this sword out, and the spider almost like you notice that it's not as brave as what it once was, and it sort of like almost like stumbles back as you pull it out of the thing. Yeah, Bartleby, you can. Gulliver, do you wish to use?
I'm not using luck.
Okay then. Bartleby, you suddenly hear, even above the sound of the battle, you hear from back along the corridor from where you were, the tunnel from where you are, some definite clicking noise. It sounds as if it's extremely rapid, as if it's going like that, a lot quicker that anybody else has heard it before. So we are going to Gulliver.
Gulliver is going to focus on the spider in front of him, and following up with his last spell again with his two fingers crossed, pointed at it. He's going to say, "Night Persid," and cast another
Folk magic spell. Yeah.
The spell that I'm casting is that with the range. Correct this time, 69 meters.
An endurance check, yeah.
Yeah, and
it makes its endurance check.
I miss anyway.
All right, cool.
With a 70.
Excellent. So you sort of you don't want to.
No.
I don't know what your whatchamacallit is though. Would that go below your critical?
Would it be what? Sorry.
What's your critical for your folk magic casting? Because I've just made a normal roll, so if you've actually made a critical roll, you're still one better than me.
Yeah, I'm not looking at to swap it.
Okay, then, cool then. Okay then, so yeah, you cast off the spell. Make sure you reduce by the thing. And Hasra, yeah, you're up there.
Nice and straightforward. I will thrust my spear into it, and I will do location if I hit. Where are we? Combat styles. I have that one.
Yeah, that will hit. You'll actually have 2 crits, and you can use one of the. You can actually use a critical combat style if you wish.
I've run out of pages. Well, the first one's choose location, which can be thorax.
Okay, cool.
And critical combat style.
So
okay, I'll do thorax and bleed.
Okay, bleed's not a critical roll.
Oh,
Why do you do 4x and max damage?
max damage. Sorry,
Or
thank you.
bypass armor.
Or bypass armor, yeah.
Bypass armor is probably the better one, isn't it? Yeah. So I'll do that. Thorax and bypass armor.
Okay then, so roll some damage for me.
The damage is going to be short spear. Yep. So 4 damage thorax.
4 damage. Okay. Yeah, so you sort of like whack it over the head or in its thorax again, and you sort of like ram your spear into it, and you see it come right straight out the other side, and then you sort of like withdraw it, and this sort of like spider just sort of like drops straight down, and suddenly becomes extremely still.
Does all its legs go in?
Oh, that's freaky.
No, it doesn't.
That's a disappointment.
I know, but it does sort of like. Hang on, I'm just trying to find my
Upside down spider token.
No, because I normally colour them in red, don't I? Like that. Yeah, so you whack your spear into it, and the spider sort of like shivers and convulses slightly, and then it actually seems to be completely still. You can see sort of like black fluid, its ichor sort of like draining out of it.
I'll pull up my spear and flick it on the floor.
Yeah. So combat at that point will be over, which means that your protection spell come off because it was just for that scene, and that scene's now over. So you can see now the Hengist can see a head. You can see that this down here is just like the corridor wall, but you can see there's a gap where this spider came from. Hasra, you can see a tunnel off to your left that is full of it's almost like sealed off, and Bartleby and Gulliver, you can see one to your side, if that makes sense, up to the northeast.
I want to rush up.
Bend down and retrieve the lantern, putting it.
Yeah,
in
cool. Yeah.
I'm going to resume my previous position, and I'll pull back behind Gulliver and Bartleby,
Okay.
keeping the rear.
Once Hengist sees that everyone has reformed in the marching order, he will carefully step around this spider and move up to the next set of cobwebs.
Yeah.
As they're moving forward, you hear Gulliver say, sort of like close up to Bartleby, "What are we looking for down here, Bartleby?"
Yeah, and as Bartleby comes up behind you, Hengist, you notice two things. You notice an even bigger spider waiting round the corner. But the other thing that you do notice, and you could probably see it, this here is a wooden pillar.
Yeah.
It's just sort of like upright, as if it's sort of like holding up the roof. It doesn't seem to look like it's not sturdy or anything like that, but it does just go from floor to ceiling. And this spider, you can see it quite clearly once. You couldn't see it until Bartleby came into the light, brought the light up behind you. You can also see a corridor and various, well, you can see what you can see round about you. It seems to be lurking there. It's definitely, you notice that it's almost like got its front leg sort of like up, almost like ready. You're behind the web at the moment.
Yeah. So before Hengist goes to cut it, he says there's another spider through there, and it's bigger than the last one.
Yeah, there is a gap. This spider, the web doesn't go right the way across.
Tunnel things. No.
He says, "I'm assuming we're carrying on."
Probably. We're seeking whatever Amriel believes to be down here.
In which case, Hengist will he's going to chop through he's going to move the rest of that cobweb away, so that more people can get through instead of squeezing past.
Yeah, so you'll have to
much
sort of
of a
like hack through it, and as you hack through it, you notice the spider in front of you becoming more and more and more agitated, and for the first time you actually hear the clicks. And it's definitely clicking away, and it's getting louder and almost like more rapid. The more that you sort of like hack through this, and at the last moment, I just need to move you slightly because my things are on the back layer. Oops. And then I can bring you back up, and then you sort of like swipe through the last bit. Can we have some initiatives, please?
Inrose comes in. I was about to say Inrose comes in with a 30.
Yeah, just 1 second. Have we all done it, Si?
Yeah.
Depressingly so, yes.
Right. So let's just stick you in the right orders. Well done, Gulliver.
Thank you.
Yeah. And that's where we are. Yeah. So what you notice is that as you finish your swipe through, the spider who's got its legs raised towards you seems to issue something forward from its mouth. It doesn't seem to be a silk or anything like that. It almost like this seems to be a thick globule of something, and it comes flying towards you as you cut down the last bit of the web. Do you wish to do anything?
Angus is going to try and dodge out the way.
Okay, roll your evade then.
Or something like that.
Yeah, so as it comes towards you, you dodge in and evade out the way, and you sort of like come up to here, and you sort of like roll out the way, and that means that you're prone on the ground, and you see Bartleby, you see this glob of liquid. It almost like looks like green slime, and it sort of like comes flying past Hengist. Hengist sort of like throws himself to the ground to avoid it, and it comes straight past in front of your face, and it sort of like splatters against this wall. And as it splatters against the wall, it sort of like spreads, and you notice that it's not hissing or sizzling, but you notice that it's almost like aerating. There's all these bubbles coming to the fore of it, and you've seen something like this as well that normally is used to clean metal and things like that. You definitely think it's some kind of acid poison that it's just sort of like blurted out. So we are down to you, Gulliver.
From where Gulliver is, I can just sort of like see part of it.
Yeah, sorry, let me just sorry, I'm on the wrong layer here. Let me just do that, and then show me what you want to ping, what you want to look at, and I can tell you.
Well, I from my perspective, it looks like I can see part of the big spider.
Yeah.
And if I can, I want to.
Here.
I want to cast a. How much bigger is it than the other one?
This one. Well, you can actually judge it from the two sizes.
Like twice.
Yeah,
twice
easily. Yeah. And the first one was, I don't know if you remember, but it was sort of like light green. But this one is sort of like grayer, and it's sort of like its 8 eyes are sort of like orange pinpricks in the front. It looks like it's getting bigger and bigger, and it sort of like reminds you of what the shaman summoned forth at the barbarian camp. It's not as big as that, but they definitely look similar in construction. But not as big as the spider that suddenly, if you remember, it suddenly materialized in front of you. So cast your spell. Go for
Okay, so Gulliver's going to open with a spell. He's going to cast Tire on it. So,
cool.
Pointing at it again, you hear him say "Erit" as he casts that, and the spell roll is that.
So I get an endurance roll. Yeah.
Endurance standard.
Which I succeeded. I got 31.
Yeah. So it doesn't come off because I got a 29.
Okay,
so
cool. So you sort of like cast your spell at it, but it doesn't quite catch it. It either resisted it or you couldn't quite get a purchase on it. Hengist, you're up.
So Hengist is going to use his action to stand up.
Okay.
And sets himself into his combat crouch.
Yeah, so you stand up. Hasra, you're up on 13.
Yep, I will. Here in the combat, I will move forward to that location there just to appraise what's going on.
Okay, then. And Bartleby, you're up.
And you muted.
Yeah, I noticed. I got a little mute going on. And somebody took my spot. I'm gonna reach out to Hasra. And begin to pray, hoping that he'll recognize the prayer I'm casting is one of sharpened blade and moonlight spears. I'm going to attempt to touch his weapon and cast a spell.
Yeah, go for it.
Took my spot. My favorite spot. Can I use a point of luck to re-roll it?
Yeah, go for it.
Big money.
Yeah, you sort of like, you needed that extra point of luck to actually touch his weapon as you come by, but only by the luck of Amriel do you manage to reach out and actually touch it. And then that's it. And so, yeah, we're going into combat round 2 now. So, Hengist, the first thing that you notice is that you hear something to your top, to the north, and you suddenly notice coming round this corner. It's obviously completely aware of what's happening. It comes round the corner and comes straight up to you on its movement. That comes round the corner, and at the same time, this other spider that is fired its poison at you beforehand similarly shoots out another thing towards you, but lucky for you, it just sort of like skims past you and just sort of like hits here on one side. Hang on, I just need to do one thing. So that's his attack, and that's that there. Okay then. Yeah. So we are now up to you, Gulliver. Because Hasra is in the way now, Gulliver, you can't actually see that that spider that was round the corner.
The one that I originally attacked, but can I see the other one?
You can see bits of it because it's not towering above Hengist, and there's actually Hasra and Hengist in the way for that one. So you can have a go at it, but it will be a hard roll if you want to cast a spell at it.
Can I see any ground close to it if I wanted to cast a teleport spell?
Teleporting it to you, or
no?
You need to give me some more information.
Right, can I see a bit of ground close to it if I was to teleport Hasra?
Well, you can.
I don't think it matters who gets teleported. It's whether or not I can see ground.
Well, I mean, you can see ground. I mean, you know that there's ground here, so you can probably teleport him to one side of it if you wish.
Right, I need to be able to see it, and it needs to be sort of like level ground.
Yeah, it's level ground. You can see it. That's not a problem.
Right, and is Hasra in touching distance or not?
He probably will be. Yeah.
Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. Well, I think it is only going to take one turn to cast. Let me.
Okay, just check. Well, while you're checking that, Hengist, what do you wish to do?
So this spider that's just come around the corner, I'm assuming that's in combat.
It certainly is in combat range.
He's going to counterattack into it. So as soon as it gets close to him, once again, he's going to strike out with his sword.
Cool. Yeah, that hits. Let me just roll its... move its spider leg. I get a 5. I get a critical, so I'm actually better than you. So I avoid. Which spider is that? 3. Yeah, so you go to strike me, but as you swipe underneath the legs, it just lifts one quite deftly up and sort of like puts it underneath.
But it's taking 2.
So that's
you can't. It's really weird because touch isn't the. It's not the phase. It's the range that I have to.
Okay, cool.
To teleport them. So Gulliver. Oh, actually, yes, yeah. Gulliver starts to cast his.
Yeah, that'll be on turn 2. Yeah, Hasra, you're up.
Will Gulliver have told me what he's doing, or will he just be doing it because...
No, Gulliver was starting to cast the spell.
Oh, okay. Hasra will be moving to engage this one on the left that's been spitting at Hengist.
Okay, so that's your movement. Yeah, and Bartleby, you're up.
I'm gonna move up to behind Hengist.
Cool. Yeah. Okay then, we're going into combat round 1, turn 3 for anybody who still has one. So Hasra, as you pile towards this this spider, this spider sees you coming, and as you get close, it rears up and tries to clamp its fangs round you as you come into combat range. Yes, that has hit with a 40.
Okay, I'm going to. I don't want to dodge.
You can try to parry it with your weapon if you still got an action left.
Yeah, I'm going to try and parry with my spear.
Okay, cool. So mine's a roll of 40. Did you succeed?
I got
With your
29.
29. How big's your weapon?
Wow. Sorry, stop it. Medium, wasn't it? We decided medium.
Yeah, so as it sort of like clamps down at you, your spear actually manages to deflect it somewhat as it tries to have a bite out of you, and it doesn't. No damage comes through it. It's absolutely fine. Gulliver. Oh, sorry, hang on. I've just got my others. Yeah, Gulliver, you're up. Because you'll still have an action left.
Yeah, I'm going to drop that spell.
Okay.
Start casting it, and he'll use his action to take out his sorcery disc.
Okay, cool. Hengist won't have any actions left.
No.
Hasra doesn't have any actions left. Bartleby, I think you only have 2, do you? Or do you have 3?
That's correct. I'm the slowest one of the group.
Yeah, okay then. So that's round 1 over. So we're going into round 2, combat turn 1, which means everybody's nicely refreshed, which means that spiders go first. So Hasra, this is yours. First up. It sort of like tries to go and bite you, but actually misses. And then this, it goes to try to bite Hengist. It does hit.
Hengist will try and parry.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, then you actually win, so you get the critical parry.
Ooh,
So you'll get the
Please, not a critical parry.
No.
Gulliver does while Hengist is sorting out. Gulliver, what would you like to do?
Gulliver's holding out the disc, starting to spell cast. He is casting this spell, and he is doing it so that he wants to try to get both spiders, so 1 tendril to each.
Yeah, got you.
He's going to
Yeah.
take him 3.
Okay then. Hengist, have you got your?
Yes, I know I do, but I've suddenly lost it again. It was overextend opponent, which is a defensive thing. So that's the one where you can't. The defender side slips or retreats at an inconvenient moment, causing the attacker to overreach. The opponent cannot attack here on his next turn.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. You're up.
Okay, so he does that. He slides out of the way, and whilst sliding out of the way, he sees an opening and misses.
And misses. Yeah. Okay then. And we go on to you, Hasra.
Mew.
Sorry, yes, I was putting in my folder as well. I will try to hit the spider in front of me. And I
Cool.
will do this.
Nice.
Yeah, that's a hit. Yeah, so let's just...
Seeing how he dispatched the last spider, he'll choose location.
Yeah, well, hang on, because I just to let you know, I missed my parry on it. So you'll have your... What are you doing? Sorry, choose location.
Choose location. Yeah, thorax again.
Yep. So do some damage for it.
9.
9 points damage. Okay, that's cool. Thank you very much. Yeah, you sort of like whack it into its thorax. Bartleby, you're up.
I might need a quick refresher. My goal of what I want to do here is to hold a heal wound spell, so that if Hengist gets knocked down, I'll just be like, false, you're getting back up. How exactly does that work again?
So you cast the spell, and then you have to spend an action to hold it. So you won't be able to do anything else apart from once every round you have to hold that spell and take an action to actually hold it. And then as long as you do that, then you can then it'll take you then an action to cast it. So
okay.
you don't tell me now. You tell me now which spell you're going to cast, but you don't actually roll it to see whether or not it's hit or not.
All right, I'd like to hold heal wound then, the miracle.
Yeah, cool. Okay then, so that's cool, and that's the end of turn 1. So this goes into turn 2. So your spider Hasra takes a shot at you with its mandibles, which it hits.
Oh, again, I will parry again.
Okay, cool.
Oh.
66. Yeah, you beat my 13. So again, you managed to knock it out of the way. Spider 3 can't work on this turn because of the overextension. So Gulliver, you're up. This would be second
combat turn, as you see the grey tendrils of smoke, 2 of which slowly start coming out the amulet and weaving their way, 1 to each of the spiders.
Cool. Okay then, Hengist, you're up.
So Hengist is going to strike out at this spider again.
Yep.
Yes.
This is spider 3. Did you say I'm not allowed to attack, or can I defend?
No, it's just an attack. It was just an attack on your next turn.
Okay, so I can parry that if I fail my parry. So you'll have 1 special.
It worked so well last time. Hengist is going to use an impale, so he's lunged forward. So he's overextended you last time, and he's lunging forward, hitting you with the point of the weapon.
Okay.
In the 4.
Yeah, you hit one of the legs.
Okay. Take the first one, please. 11 points of damage.
Yeah, 11. Okay, it just needs to roll its endurance. It fails its endurance, and you notice that you slice through one of its legs, and the spider sort of like stutters for a while, and then sort of like repositions its weight on its remaining 7 legs to keep it up and running. Hasra, you're up.
I'm out of action points.
Okay, and Bartleby.
I'm holding on.
Okay,
to that prayer.
You're just holding that. Excellent. And that brings us to the end of combat round 2, turn 2. So we're going into turn 3. Gully, will your spell come off?
If it's round 3,
turn 3 it is.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it was 3 turns to cast. So it will come out on this one.
Cool.
So this is my invocation roll. And I am going to use a point of luck to re-roll that.
Okay, cool.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, but obviously, you know, there's something's not actually with you at the present moment in time, and you mumbled the words incorrectly, and the spell sort of like cancels.
Do I lose?
Is it a sorcery spell?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No.
Fumble. The spell fails and full magic cost is expended.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I think it was it 3 points? I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay then. Spider 2, which is the one that's attacking you, Hasra, has no action points left. Spider 3, that's attacking you, Hengist, does, however, because it couldn't act. It couldn't do an attack last round, so it's still got its third one. And so it will try to whack you. But yeah, it misses. And so with a 76 out of 56, so that's its attack done, and I think that is the end of the round. Yeah. So anybody who's Bartleby, Hasra and Gully, this is the end of round 2, so you need to make endurance checks.
Yes, indeed. Endurance.
Are you looking at Gulliver?
No.
Bartleby.
Bartleby's fine, and Hasra.
That's my name.
Hasra is fine as well.
Bartleby.
So this is going into combat round 3, turn 1. So spiders.
A host.
Thank you. Oh, we got a host. Oh, it's Big Beastie. Big Beastie's in the.
Big Beastie.
Right. Let me go into this. So this is to you, Hasra. Your spider 2. So this is spider 2 attacking you. That hits.
That's fine. I shall parry because Big Beastie will save us now.
Yep. Go ahead. I've got a 23.
No, it's wrong one. Sorry, wrong one. That's 2.
Fails.
Oh!
Yeah, he gets it. But you get. You both all right.
Yeah. It's it's only because we're both mediums.
It's only a critical, isn't
Yeah.
it?
So you that comes through, and then so your spear manages to knock the head out of to one side, and this is coming at you, Hengist, from the other spider, and it's missed that. So that's absolutely fine. So Gulliver, you're up.
Gulliver is going to start casting the same spell.
Okay then. Cool. And Hengist, you're up.
Hengist once again is locked in battle with this giant spider, and he's going to swing his sword and misses.
And misses. And Hasra.
I will be stabby.
Okay.
So that one. I will use my first point of luck on that, please, to reverse it.
Okay. Spider will try to get its form of parry, which it does. So the even with that luck coming into it, it manages to knock your spear out at the last moment. And
Trick there to get it.
and Bartleby, you're up.
Holding on to that prayer in my head.
Okay. Excellent. So we're going into combat round 2, combat turn 2. Sorry. And we're going up to the top, which will be spiders first. And this is yours, Hasra. It succeeds.
I will parry.
Okay.
That one.
Yeah. So you'll get the special over me. So you can quick parry it.
Right. Where's the parry crit special list? Is it?
It's within. I think I sent you an Excel spreadsheet quite a while ago.
Oh gosh.
Just while you're looking
Yep.
things like that up, I'll just take my my attack at you, Hengist, and I do hit.
I'm going to attempt to parry.
Okay.
No.
No. Okay then. So I will do some damage. Da, da, da. It goes into your 1.
My 1 is my right leg.
Okay then, and let me just do this. 4 points of damage. Would it get through your armor?
No, you just hear a clang and a screech.
No. What actually? You don't hear a clang and a screech.
Oh.
What you hear is you almost like feel it sort of like clamp over it, and you feel or hear a bit of a hiss. And as you look down, you notice that very similar to that green slime that was thrown against the wall is over your armor at that point. And you can see that even at this point, it seems to be almost like starting to bubble. It started to form bubbles within it as it attacks you. Gulliver, you're up.
Round
Turn
two.
Turn two, yeah.
Of 3.
Yeah, Hengist, you're up.
So Hengist, taking this opportunity, is going to try and strike at it again. That's my last action. Yes, finally.
Yep. Let me see whether or not I do my nice parry with it. No, I fumble, so you will get 2 specials.
Ooh. I'm trying to use a different one.
Hasra, have you?
I have. Yeah. Sorry. It's the defensive special effects, isn't it?
Yeah, as long as it's when it says defender crits. But you see, so for example,
overextend opponents.
Overextend opponent will be fine, so it will not be able to attack.
Next turn. Yeah.
Yep, that's absolutely cool. Have we got some?
I'll use the same one as I did last time, so that's overextend opponent.
Okay. Right. Okay. Cool. So it can't attack on its next turn. So and we're down to you, Hasra.
I thought you would hit Hengist. And it failed.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, no, I got misconfused.
So
yeah, I still use overextend opponent.
Specials.
So yeah, overextend opponent and impale in that case. In fact, no, I can't use overextend opponent. I think.
No.
So I'll do choose location, head, impale, and then I'll do my 2 bits of damage. And I'll take the second one for 8 points, please.
5. Okay. Thank you. Right.
Thanks, Chugs.
Hasra, yeah.
I'm out of action points.
Oh, cool. And Bartleby. You've used your 1 turn to hold the action, hold the spell, so you can do other things apart from as long as you don't fight or take damage, etc., etc.
Oh, well, in that case, would I be able to move over to Hasra since Hengist clearly doesn't need any backup?
Yeah, you can make your movement over there. That's not a problem at all.
Which is to say, I fear for your lack of armor, naked cohort of ours.
Yeah, okay then. So this is turn 3 of round 3. Spider 2, yours it is out, but it's still got its overextend still to do, so that'll come off its next turn in round 4. Spider 3 still has action points, so it will strike at you and hits. Hengist.
Oh, me?
Yep.
I can't do anything.
Okay, so it hits you on your 12.
My 12 is my chest.
And it does 3 points of damage there.
It doesn't get through my armor.
Yeah, and you notice that there's no acid coming out of it on that one. Gulliver, I presume you're going to do 3, which means your spell will come off.
Yeah, although I am now at hard, I think, because I'm winded.
Okay. But yeah, it still comes off.
Don't get it.
Oh no, sorry, it's hard. Yeah,
No,
sorry.
no,
do you want to use a point of luck?
No, can't.
No. Okay then. You can't, or
Yeah, well, I can't because I don't have any.
you don't have any luck left. Okay then, cool. And so, and is that it? Are we all out? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay then. Let me just.
I owe you an endurance whilst you're doing that.
Yes. Yeah. You'll need.
Do I need to do it as well, don't I? Or
No, you'll do it on 4.
4, that's right, sorry.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. So this is round 4, turn 1. Yeah, spiders are going first. Spider 2 is the one that was overextended, so it can't do anything on this action. Spider 3, however, can attack against you, Hengist. And yeah, it hits.
Ooh, Hengist is. So I've still got my sword impaled, so I can't parry, can I? Really? Not with my sword.
Okay.
I wouldn't have thought.
Did you not parry last time?
No, I impaled, so I finished it impaling.
Okay,
last
cool.
turn, at the end of last
So right, I'll take a hit. Yeah. This is going on your 2.
That's my right leg again.
And it does 2 points of damage on it. Is that the one that's been hit before?
Yeah, that's the one that had the acid on it.
Okay, how many armor points did it have before?
So originally it had 5. I'm assuming
It now has 4.
it now has 4. So
Yeah, and it
1. So that was 1. So 1 point goes through. In that case.
how many armor points have you got on
So it
there?
had 5. You did 4 points of damage. So I'm assuming that's.
No, armor points
No,
don't.
your armor point on it is 4.
So it takes it off all the
so
time.
It doesn't go through your armor.
Okay.
Yeah, but whatever your armor points were on it, it's gone down by 1 due to the corrosive nature of the poison that's on it. Right, that's me done. Gulliver, you're up.
Okay, Gulliver's going to just drop his sorcery disc.
Okay,
Can
it's
you
around
do
your neck.
that?
Yeah,
Is that a free action?
yeah, that's a free action. It's just around your neck, isn't
Okay,
it?
and he's going to point at the one that Hengist is
Fighting. Yeah.
to cast his tire spell. So you hear him say "Erit" as
Cool.
It's folk magic. I got the hard
Yeah. Cool.
for that.
What's my endurance? Yeah.
Endurance.
Yeah. It succeeds.
But I got. Did I get better or?
I got
or
a
are you doing
23.
standard?
Yeah, I got a standard, so I will always beat you in any case because yours has to be a hard. So yeah, so that doesn't come off. Don't forget to remove your magic points. Hengist, you're up.
So Hengist is going to pull the sword out of the spider.
Okay, brawn roll.
No.
No,
Failed.
no. Okay then. So that stays quite firmly in the spider. And Hasra, you're up.
Mew.
Sorry, yeah, I just realised that I've got blade sharp on my weapon, so
So do it from now on.
I will.
Yeah.
Yes, that's not a problem. D8. Right, so 1d10. Right, thank you. Okay, so I will take a swipe at the spider,
Cool.
and I will be muttering to Amriel as I do it in a weird way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Strike.
Just 1 second. Let me just use an action point to try to get away from it. No, I don't. So give me location.
Is going to be.
Well, you'll
thorax.
get a. What's your special first?
Sorry, choose location.
Okay.
Thorax. I'm poking at the same place over and over.
Yeah. Okay. Go. For it.
And then damage needs to be. I need to manually, don't I? So go over here. So D10 plus. Sorry, 1 second. D10 plus 1. So if I do D10, is that rolled?
Yep.
So I scroll up all the page to find.
Is that 7 points then?
That's 7 points, yes, on the thorax.
4. Let me just make my endurance roll. No, it fails its endurance roll. So yeah, you slice off one of its legs. Sorry, it was your thorax, wasn't
thorax,
it? Yeah.
yes.
So you sort of like whack your spear through the chitin exoskeleton of the spider, and it promptly falls. It goes limp and dead. It. Let me just colour it in if I can. Why is it not letting me? I don't know why it's not letting me open its button. Okay, I'll just delete it. Okay then. Yeah. So that's you up, Bartleby.
Bartleby is going to hold the spell
Okay.
for this turn,
Cool.
not next turn.
Okay, and that's the end of turn 1. So we're up to turn 2, and Spider 3 is going to take a 2-hit roll and misses. Spider 2 is out of it, so I can take it off my combat tracker. And Gulliver, you're up.
Same again.
Oh, nice fumble. Yeah, nothing.
Because I fumbled on that, so that means I could actually go unconscious for a few days.
Cool. And don't forget to tick it for the boost. Well, let me know if you're unconscious or not. Hengist, you're up.
Angus is carrying on trying to get the sword out of this spider's head.
Brawn roll then.
Yes, he does manage to.
Yeah,
this
so
time.
you Pull it out. Hasra.
Do half damage as I do, so that's 4 damage as I pull it out.
Whereabouts was it?
It was the head.
How much? 4 damage. What? Let's do that. Yeah. Okay then. So yeah, it's still up. Hasra, you're up.
I will pivot on one leg and throw my spear at the spider behind me.
Yeah, cool. Roll away.
So it's that one.
Right, so you make your hard roll on the 16, and so the spider will try to evade it, but fails. So and you'll need a special and your damage. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to go bleed, and it's just a straight D10. It's
I need a location.
Location is D20, isn't it?
Yeah, that actually be the head of it. The thorax again. So yeah, it's to do.
Look at the location. The damage is straight D10. It's 7.
Okay. I just need to make an endurance check.
Storm might kill again.
Yeah, it fails on its endurance thing, and as your spear comes flying across it, it just lands in. Can you just make a brawn roll for me now, just quickly, so we can?
Me, sorry.
Yeah, you're not. I just saw. Yeah. Okay, then that's fine. So yeah, so you your spear goes flying across and sort of like doesn't impale, but it sort of like slides into it, and the giant spider quivers and falls down dead. Gulliver, are you still with us?
I'm still up. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay then. So you can see Hasra, you firing round that pillar that's right in front of you really well. You notice that, and I think Hengist might be able to see it as well. You can see here, yeah?
Oh, yes, yep.
These are poles, circular poles that go from the ground right the way up to the top of the tunnel. From where you are now and using the light that Bartleby's casting, you can see that they're not made out of wood. They're actually made out of iron.
Oh.
There. And I think that is a good place just after the end of that combat to finish it for tonight, because that's pretty good timing actually, because it's just gone 25 to, so perfect timing. So yeah, we can pick it up from there next time. Remember, your luck will restart again, however your magic points will not until we start again. So thank you for coming along and watching our session of Mythras tonight. I hope you enjoyed it. I know Mr. Pickles has probably got something to say. Does anybody else have anything to say?
I do 3 kills. 3.
1 and 2/3.
Yeah,
A third each
so
time.
1 and 2.
I did all the hard work with 2 of them.
So the Mr. Pickles show was playing Teenage Mutant Turtles 4.
I got that set up for what I'm going to do this afternoon. I'm
Yeah.
putting some pickles on that.
Boilers!
Yeah, so what time are you starting, Mr. Pickles?
In about an hour or so, maybe an hour
Okay.
15.
Okay, what time will that be your time? Is that
My time, that'd be almost 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Okay, cool. So
Yeah.
yeah.
12 p.m. GMT.
Yeah. Anybody else have anything that they would like to announce or anything?
No.
No. Brilliant. So thank you for coming along and joining us tonight with this Mythras role-playing game. I will be back tomorrow at 2 o'clock GMT time when I will be doing more of my stream every day in December. There'll be day 9 of 31, so please do come along. It'll be some Elder Scrolls Online, just working up my my new character and working on that throughout the session. So do, if you have a moment, do please come along and join us. Apart from that, I would like to thank my players tonight for being for participating in the game. Thank you to you guys, and thank you to you guys for coming along and watching us. I hope you enjoyed it, and until next time, I would just like to say to each and every one of you, please remember to be who you are and say what you think, because the people who mind don't matter, and the people who matter don't mind. Have fun, and I'll catch you all later, and until then, happy role playing. See you all later, guys. Bye.
Bye.